Some of these guys are fighting to prove that they're big leaguers, and that's just part of what we're going to see. And there's going to be ups and downs to it, but what we saw that last inning, as far as just staying short through the middle and taking what the game's given you, has to be more of the identity of what we do moving forward, and we'll continue to talk through that. But even the Scott at bat, like that type of swing, like he's struggling right now and trying to figure it out. But that swing right there is a lot closer to what we need to see. Obviously, he's not going to get that result every time, but the short to it, middle of the field, the approach itself. So, yeah, we're going to see some up and downs, but we'll continue to run these guys out there.
That's what it sounded like after the game yesterday alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Alex, I'm struggling watching the Cardinals right now because I watched the game yesterday, for example, and Nolan Gorman, just a couple of boneheaded plays defensively. Thomas Ajacey had a couple of rough moments at second base, and I feel myself being like, you can't make that play. And then I take like 2 seconds later, and I'm like, it's a young player learning a position. He's figuring it out at the big league level. This is important. He needs to have this moment. He needs to learn from it. And I struggle because, like, okay, how am I supposed to watch this right now? Like, as a fan, as an analyst, what are we doing with the 2025 Cardinals in the final 2 months of the regular season? It matters, but it doesn't. It's evaluation period, but also I kind of know what most of these players are. So I'm curious for you guys, as you're watching the Cardinals over the weekend. You hear what Oli had to say. He clearly sounds like somebody that's looking at this from the 10,000-foot view. He understands where the team is at and what it's not likely to accomplish this year. So how are you watching right now? As you see them go up against a legit NL contender in the Padres, and we'll see it again tonight, legit NL contender in the Dodgers. The Dodgers. How are you watching the St. Louis Cardinals right now?
The discounted Padres, apparently, or the more expensive Padres, I should say. I feel like I'm watching them going through the motions. Like, you find yourself sitting there Saturday night, for example. We're getting set up for my daughter's first birthday. We're cleaning the house, and it's on. And typically, you're kind of like, what? You're staring at it, you're watching it, but you don't even know that you're watching it. That's what it feels like I'm doing with the Cardinals right now. I have no emotional investment with it. It's just on, and it's background noise. And I feel like once that trade deadline passed, that's where it fell into the camp. Now, the difference is I kind of felt guilty feeling that way because they're in the part of the season now with the trade deadline passed, knowing that they're not a playoff team. They're in the part that should be, I guess, quote unquote, exciting because these are younger players. These are guys that you're still evaluating, if you want to call it that. But maybe that's why I'm going through the emotions or going through the motions with the Cardinals because I'm watching them and I don't feel like I'm looking for any more answers. I feel like I've gotten all the answers for these guys, and now it's just like Gorman makes a boneheaded play. Yeah, okay, checks out. Also, the bat doesn't play very well. Sees guys missing at the plate in the offensive opportunities. Yeah, that's kind of what it's been like for this Cardinals team. That's why at the end of the game, you turn it off, you're like, yeah, I just wasted 3 hours watching that.
Yeah, I kind of feel the way you guys are feeling. Where I watch him, and I just feel like I'm in like a void of emptiness, right? Like, I'm not gaining anything from it because I agree. I feel like most of the position players, which is what typically would get you excited, or a young arm if you had one of those that's here, I would look at that and say, okay, yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to see what this guy's got for the final 2 months. I know what the position players are outside of like Jordan Walker. He's the one guy that right now when he takes an at-bat, I stop what I'm doing and I make sure I watch that mostly because I just want to see if he chases a slider low and away. Outside of him, most of these other guys, I feel like I know what you have. Herrera, you're not going to get a lot of answers on like, can he take the next step until 2026? Alec Burleson, think I know what you have in him. Lars Nootbaar, know what you have. Mason Wynn, really exciting defensive shortstop. The bat's just not there. Maybe it won't get there, but
the bat's average.
Yeah, he's fine.
I feel like I can say that for a couple of guys on this team.
But like that's not like what I want to watch
That's a
in the final
valuable
2 months.
piece, though. Like at least with Mason Wynn, you can build around that.
But
it's not the star talent. It's not the number one guy on a contender. But I can win with this guy being my starting shortstop. I have no doubt about that.
But you know when that becomes evaluating to watch. When you're trying to make the playoffs. That's not a proper sentence, and I know you're working through it.
trying to understand what you were getting at there.
You know,
I liked it.
When it makes sense,
When
you're
it's
watching them when you're
evaluating.
trying to evaluate, is when you're pushing for a playoff spot. Like now, you're not a playoff team anymore. And I know you're an average bat. So I don't need to like see what else you're going to provide because you're not an average bat trying to get to the playoffs. You're going to miss the playoffs again, and I know what you already are.
The thing that the Cardinals are evaluating, the thing that they keep talking about, I know they keep bringing up the young players, but really what their focal point right now is the bullpen arms. And I'm not going to get excited about watching that.
I'm not sure that I think they would tell you something different.
I think they have the answers on the bats, and I think the reason they're telling you something different is because the trade deadline's passed and they can't make moves. I think they know on the bats and
I'm
who
not
they're moving.
sure I agree on that. I think they are still evaluating what Mason Wynn is as a hitter. And I don't know if you guys saw the comments from Oli Marmol to John Denton over the weekend, but I think they're trying to figure out what is the ceiling for this? Can there be something more here? Is there something more in Mason Wynn? If not, he's still a valuable piece. Even just as is, that's a valuable piece for the Cardinals, for a contender, for whomever. It's a good player to build around. I think they're still trying to figure out. Ivan Herrera at the beginning of the season showed a lot of pop. Was that real, or is what we've seen more recently more what he's probably going to be long-term? Because he has shown less pop lately. The average is still there. The on-base percentage is still there. The pop has started to dissipate. Again, both of those things are valuable, whether he's the high-average player that's kind of more Alec Burleson from the right side, or if he's the guy that he showed earlier in the season. Both things are valuable. They're just different. With Nolan Gorman, can we get this? Can the power play at the major league level, or is this just it's not going to work for him here? I do think that they are still evaluating some of these young players. Maybe they're going about it in different ways than we are here on the show, where we feel like, screw that, I don't care about any of these guys, just get rid of them all, right? I think there is some of that among whether it's here or the audience right now. The Cardinals, I think, and maybe this is just the manager, maybe it is Chaim Bloom, we haven't heard from him, so I have no idea how he feels about this team. But I do think they are maybe having further evaluations than we are on our show, but all of it's kind of annoying. It's just not. I think we kind of know what Mason Wynn is. I think we have a pretty good idea of what Alec Burleson. I think we have a pretty good idea of what Lars Nootbaar is. I do want to see what Walker looks like on a regular basis, but they have 100 players for 9 spots in the lineup right now. And so there are certain days, I think it was Saturday, where Walker's not in the lineup, and I'm like, I'll watch. But I'm like Alex. I'm just going through the motions. I watched the full 2.5-hour game. I remember 10 minutes of it.
I know. I needed the highlights to remind me.
There's just not a whole lot that happens on a day-to-day basis where I'm I needed to see that, and I will remember this for the next 3 years. Whereas there were games from a few years ago, especially 2022, I remember where I was when that moment happened and how I internalized all of it, and then what we talked about the next day.
Yeah, like the Rockies moment when Pujols was pinch hit. I still remember. We were on the air. Yeah, we've got a Hulk. To the point of for the front office evaluating
right now.
I feel like there's still things to figure out with these individual players, but big picture, when you step back, if you're the front office, for a fan perspective, none of it matters because I know what you're missing. I know the piece that you're missing. You need pop. You need somebody who can drive the ball out of the ballpark and make big plays. And until you're willing to make that move, it's hard to sit there and be like, oh, well, you could see this from Lars Nootbaar, maybe this with Jordan Walker, or this with Nolan Gorman. I know where your team is at as a whole, and until you make that next big move, it's hard to really think anything else.
Yeah, the thing that I'm having a tough time, because I agree, it's annoying, the word that you used, of how they're kind of going through this process. And what I'm trying to figure out, is it annoying because there's too many pieces and it feels like overload of what I'm trying to evaluate? Because you're right, they've basically got, I don't know, I would say 8 regular spots, not including the catcher, because I'm not really evaluating that one. And they've got, 10 guys for 8 spots kind of right now?
Not more.
Only 10? Yeah. I was going to say, I feel about 12 or 13.
I was going conservative, but I just wanted to be on the safe side. Sure. But the other reason that I bring this up on why I find it annoying is, to me, it's just too slow of a process again for the front office. And again, they can't make moves now, but it goes back to what we said on the trade deadline, where they didn't make the move of trading off one of these bats for anything. Now, they said the offer wasn't there. Maybe it wasn't, but the reason I bring that up is, again, I feel like I know what you have in most of these guys. Maybe I guess wrong on Mason Wynn's ceiling, for example. But let's go. It's time to start making some of these decisions. Well, now it's about playing guys of just saying, okay, this guy's getting these at-bats. I'm not necessarily frustrated on the rotation.
I don't think you're frustrated about any of it.
I'm frustrated by the deadline still.
Fair. What did you want them to do that they didn't?
I think they needed to sell one of these bats.
I would have been fine with that. truth on the bat side, like I'm annoyed by the JoJo decision. That will never make sense to me. I just don't get it. It doesn't make sense. But on the bat side of things, there were what, 3 bats that were traded this year at the deadline? Like Sanchez and the 2 guys from the Diamondbacks. Am I forgetting somebody? Of me.
Yeah. Okay, then yeah. Just those 3.
Okay. We said all day on deadline day, hey, it sure seems like Stephen Kwan's going to get dealt. All of the reporting indicates Stephen Kwan's going to end up getting dealt. There's clearly a demand there. And then he never was traded. So it's entirely possible, hey, that the offers just weren't there for controllable bats. It's annoying to me. I agree with you, but maybe there truly was no offer there that made sense for a Nootbaar, which would be the guy that I would pinpoint. I think part of this, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I can't tell you how to feel, but I think part of this is we've just seen a lot of these names in the lineup every day over the last few years. And so the frustrating part of this is, okay, I kind of know what it looks like when Nolan Gorman's in the lineup on a day-to-day basis. If instead of Nolan Gorman, it was, I don't know, the same exact player, but for the Guardians, and you just made the switch.
Yeah, people just want a new name.
It would feel different because it's new. He fails in different ways.
There's hope for a new player. Like there's hope for a better ceiling for that new player rather than Nootbaar and Gorman, who people have seen over the last 3+ years. You know what this looks like. There's no changing. There's no getting better. These are what you have, and this is what you're comfortable with. I think people are just ready for change name's sake.
Yeah, and that's not a bad thing. I get that. I totally understand it. I think that's part of the Mo situation. Somebody else could come in and make the exact same moves that Mo has, but at least it's somebody different. At least the messaging is going to be different on it. And I think that's how a lot of fans feel right now. I think we are all just into a position where it feels like Groundhog Day for the Cardinals. Over and over and over again. And right now, there's nothing they can realistically do to change that. Like they can't go out there and change anything of the roster today. It's all kind of pointing back to decisions that were or were not made either at the deadline or in the offseason. And so now when we see it reflected on the field, it's like, man, all I can think about is what you decided not to do. And all I wanted you to do was just change something, and you failed to do that. So they go back to the deadline, and it's the bare minimum once again. So here we are. One thing we will not see, though, is Nolan Arenado on the field for at least the near future. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. Somebody on the text line, by the way, mentions Correa, O'Hearn, Bader, Grichuk. Those were guys that were moved at the deadline. Correa was a specific move for one team. Nobody else was going to be able to pull that off. O'Hearn, totally fair one. Bader, I mean, they gave up nothing. Grichuk, they gave up nothing. So
those are specialists at this point in their career.
Yeah. Trading Newt is very different than trading one of those guys.
Yeah.
Really, the only
Sanchez.
The only moves that were similar is Sanchez, and he's a guy that I don't think has the same amount of value as Lars Nootbaar. So very few teams nobody made the kind of move that we're talking about the Cardinals potentially making there. Maybe they should have done it earlier. Maybe they should have done it in the offseason. These are all fair critiques. I'm just saying for the deadline, maybe that's a little bit of a different conversation. All right, coming up at 15 minutes, we're going to get into some college football because at least one individual has put out his way too early preseason top 25 list. Where do the Big Ten and SEC teams rank on it? We'll talk about that coming up at 15 minutes. And there's a Mizzou player that had one of the more puzzling quotes of the offseason, Alex. So we'll get that here in about 15 minutes or so. But when are we going to see Nolan Arenado again? It's a question that we've been kicking around before the show today. We'll talk about it next here on 101 ESPN.
Alex Ferrario with you to talk about my friends over at Rhino Shield. When it comes to the exterior of your home, this is the company that you need to be using. We had our daughter's first birthday party yesterday at our house, had the immediate family, extended family over, had multiple people who were just coming to our house for the first time asking where we had our exterior done, and explained to them Rhino Shield's work. It's not paint, it's a ceramic coating that is engineered to outlast paint. It's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty, but the important part is that it can handle any type of the elements that it's going to go through. All of the moisture and the rain that it gets, it's 100% waterproof. Like last week when it was blistering hot outside, it deflects 90% of the UV rays, which means it's going to be able to withstand that heat and save a little money on those energy bills for you. So make sure you call the company that is looking to make sure you've got the best exterior on your home. That's Rhino Shield. Tell Darren Alex Ferrario sent you. He'll come out, he'll walk you through the whole process, and you'll get the coating of a Rhino on the exterior of your home. 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO.com.
Is Oli Marmol going to be able to play Nolan Arenado again alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK? This comes from Derek Gould's piece over the weekend. Quote, "This is a guy who does not like coming out of games, does not like off dates, definitely doesn't want to be on the injured list," Oli told reporters. He played through to some discomfort for quite some time, and it's time for him to get his body back to where he's full strength and able to move the way that he wants to move. So we sat down, talked about it, and that's how we're moving forward. When asked if Arenado could miss the remainder of the season, Oli Marmol said, quote, "It's too early to tell." He said that to reporters twice, end quote. All of that coming from Derek Gould's piece over the weekend. Alex, do you think we're going to see Nolan Arenado suit up in a Cardinals uniform again the rest of the year?
I don't think so. I think Arenado knows where this is headed, and it's nobody wants to trade for you right now that you want to trade for you. And so your options are stick with the Cardinals or go to a team that you don't want to go to. And if you're him, and this is total tinfoil theory here, if you're him, you have performed poorly over the last few seasons, and the teams that you want to be traded to don't want you anymore. So rather than continue to perform poorly, take a step backwards and say, I need to get my body right. I need to figure out what the hell is going on so that I can perform better moving forward, and maybe these teams will be interested in me next year. And so I don't think he comes back. I think it's just a matter of, look, this injury has been plaguing him for a long time. It's part of the reason why I haven't been performing well. So I'm going to figure out how to get my body right so I'll be ready for the Cardinals next year. And then once the offseason hits, kick in all the trade rumors again of now he wants out and teams are potentially interested. That's my tinfoil of it all.
All of this is speculation, so I like that. Sounds reasonable to me.
It's weird that he was going to get traded at the deadline and he was open to it, and then the deadline passes, he's not on a new team, and it's, he's headed to the IL.
And he had that ominous quote, what was it, the day before or 2 days before the deadline, where he's like, I've got some sorting out to do.
Yeah, it's like, you knew, and then the teams didn't want you, which in my theory is Houston. It's like, I'm only new to Houston now. Houston's like, we don't want you anymore. And now it's like, okay, cool. Kick your feet with your head down. It's like, oh, man, I got to go figure my stuff out.
I do think we will see him again this year. And it kind of goes kind of what you were saying, but I'm going almost the reverse of that. Instead of rather like staying out of the lineup for the rest of the 2 months and then hoping that maybe you get that trade in the offseason, man, his value has never been at its lowest. And I don't know if it can get much lower than where it's at now. I think the shoulder, I think there was something actually wrong with the shoulder. He was going to play through it until they clearly became selfish. I think he's taken off this month. I think he will be back in September on hopes of, okay, hopefully I can have a really good month. The shoulder, maybe he's convinced himself, whether you buy it or not, was the thing that was preventing him from putting up good offensive numbers. I think he will be back in September with the hope of having one good final month to potentially prove to anybody that would have interest in the offseason of, okay, maybe there still is that old Arenado in there still, and try and boost back up his trade value for the offseason.
Can I give you my tinfoil?
Sure. Why not?
We all have different tinfoils.
I should have had the open ready.
My theory, and this is nothing more than a theory, I promise you, is that Oli sat him down and said, we're going to have to play you like 4 out of the 6 days a week. We need those couple days in the lineup to be able to play Nolan Gorman and Brendan Donovan and Thomas Ajayci and Ivan Herrera and Lars Nootbaar and Jordan Walker and Alec Burleson. Like, these guys are going to take priority a couple of days a week. And what we know with Nolan is that guy likes to play through stuff. He does not like to come out of the lineup. What Oli said is true, man. This guy tries to play almost every single day. There have been times in the past where he has been out of the lineup when they get to the ballpark. He sees it, and he talks his way into the lineup that day because he wants to work his way through things by swinging through it, not by sitting and working on it in the cages. So if he, again, all of this is tinfoil, I promise you, this is not like, not sourced or anything. If he was told, hey, you're going to play 3 to 4 days a week now, not sure Nolan would be super excited about that. And if he's saying to himself, like, hey, man, I've got this stuff that's been bothering me anyways. Just put me on the IL. If this is going to be the plan, like, I'll just get my body right. And that'll be a better way for me to use my time over the next month than to play 3 or 4 days a week while I'm watching these dudes that, in his mind, most likely, he sees as lesser than him, not as good of players as him, getting those opportunities in the lineup. That is my tinfoil. I think any of these make a lot of sense. Alex, I liked yours. I like yours, T-Bone. I think mine makes some sense. My guess is they were going to have to play him less, and they're going to figure it out that way.
Man, if only Eric Fetty could have done that, right? That's what the Cardinals were trying to convince him to do. Be like, hey, man, something hurt? I think all 3 of these can be, right? And it all comes back to the bigger picture of this, saying, like, he missed his opportunity to get traded. Your opportunity was in the offseason to go to the Houston Astros that were willing to accept you. And now you're looking back on that, probably thinking, it's like, man, I really screwed that one up. You haven't been performing to the level that you think you are. Teams that you want to go to don't want to trade for you. And the Cardinals aren't anywhere near contending for a World Series. All 3 of these have come to the decision of, look, if I'm not going to be playing as much as they want me to play because these guys need to get some opportunities, and we're going to talk about it later. There's another guy in AAA right now that's probably going to be taking your position at some point.
Jose for me.
Yeah, exactly. Taylor Motter, probably. It comes down to, it's like, cool, I haven't been right, so I'm just going to take the time off rather than have to get sat and not perform well in the 4 out of the 6 days that I'm able to play.
All right, so I want to play a cut. This comes from John Mozeliak. This was the day of the deadline last week. This was on Thursday at like 6:45 p.m.? 5:45 p.m., somewhere around there. So it's just a little bit after the deadline. They had an off day that day. And then they play it in San Diego over the weekend. Take a listen to this when asked about how they're going to find playing time for all of their young guys. And now think about ultimately what came over the weekend. Take a listen.
I do think, again, we're going to try to find at-bats for Nolan Gorman as best we can. Unfortunately, the timing of his injury it is what it is. And so now we got to, try to get him back into where he was prior to the injury. And so I think from a playing standpoint, you are going to see those opportunities happen, but you're trying not to do it at the expense of someone else trying to get going. So I do think, like, these things tend to work themselves out over time. You might say to me, well, no, they haven't, but typically they do. And so patience.
Oh, God. The one trigger word.
Back to my opening
patience.
comments, though. It's time to make these decisions quicker.
Patience. God, I hate that word.
At what point do you think they made the decision that Arenado was going to go on the IL?
Right before that press conference.
Yeah, I was going to say right after the trade 5:01 Eastern when the trade deadline passed, and they're like, "Oh, we didn't trade him, so headed to the IL." Again, why couldn't you do this with Fetty for that start?
He wasn't really hurt. I mean, the player technically has to agree to go on the IL. So I'm being kind of serious.
Because this is from Derek Gould's piece. The decision to go on the injured list and rest was made after a conversation between Arenado and manager Oli Marmol this past week in St. Louis. So, like, they knew when he said that Arenado was going on the injured list. So why not just say that? It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. No, I guess not.
Cardinals are kings of not saying something before it actually happens.
Isn't this just another reminder of, like, just say the thing?
Wasn't this thing about the TK Roby too? To where they knew he was going to be getting Tommy John, he was going to be done for the year, but they wouldn't talk about it yet? And then it comes out by Katie Woo?
I just don't get it, man. Like, it goes back to the messaging thing. And again, each of these individual moments, not a huge deal. Like, whatever. It is what it is. Teams are weird about injuries. They're weird about, like, the news, quote unquote. They want to be the ones that bring it to the table. Whatever. Cool. But when you add all of this stuff up, and the backdrop to all of it is a couple of bad seasons over the last 3 years, a team that's drawing 20,000 people per night, and that's if you just look at the attendance that's announced and not the actual butts in the seats, that used to draw 40,000 each and every night. Like, all of this just, it starts to add up.
You know what
and it's just so weird. Why not just say, hey, you know, one of the things that we were really working with going into this year's deadline is Arenado was going to figure out his shoulder situation, which means we've got a spot now for Nolan Gorman to come back and get that playing time.
Yeah, you know what all these do? You say they all add up. They all add up to just not being trustworthy. Like, it all adds up to anything that the Cardinals tell us, you just don't believe. And I think the 3 years of being bad on top of all of this to where something comes out after they essentially tell you, and maybe it all started back to that Adam Wainwright contract where they were like, we're going to spend more money, and then it was, we're spending more money and we're deferring it. All of it is,
even if all of that's true,
say it up front. Don't tell people that you're going to spend money and then pull that one.
When you say that amount of money is deferred,
yeah,
and then you say we're accounting for this on the books for the upcoming seasons, just all of this is stuff that technically true. They're not lying to you.
You lose trust.
Just slightly misleading.
And it's really hard to be optimistic about an organization's future when the people that are telling you the direction that it's going, you don't know if they're telling you the truth or not. And that's where I think this frustration has just built up over the last 3+ years, and now we sit with the Cardinals stuck in the middle.
Especially when I read this from Bob Nightingale over the weekend. The Cardinals would have liked to move starter Sonny Gray and Miles Michaelis, first baseman Wilson Contreras, but all three told the Cardinals that they would not waive their no-trade clauses. I'm cool with them trading Miles Michaelis. I think everybody was fine with that. He said, no, cool, I get it. The Sonny Gray thing, he's going to make $35 million next season. His production this year has not been up to snuff. All right, it would have been annoying and frustrating to me if they had traded him, but I would at least understand the rationale behind it. What's the rationale behind trading first baseman Wilson Contreras? What is it?
2 words: financially motivated.
Okay.
Creating
that is part of what gets back to all of this,
40-man roster.
I don't trust them to go out there and make their team better. I think they're lacking stars right now. I think they could go out there this offseason and acquire said stars. Do I trust that they're going to do so? No. Because I don't trust that they're going to get the salary situation back to where it was prior to them going through a retool, rebuild transition, which is clearly a rebuild.
You forgot runway.
Yeah, that too. Coming up next, the Big Ten and the SEC are going to dominate early in the season once again. And what the heck does this quote mean for Mizzou's offense? I want Alex to hear this for the first time coming up next year on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Cardinals fell to the Padres yesterday 7-3. As they dropped 2 of 3 in San Diego. They head on the road to start a 3-game set at the LA Dodgers tonight. 9:10 will be first pitch. Tyler Glasnow will be on the mound for LA. Sonny Gray will get the start for St. Louis. The Sports Center update was driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Is out with Alex and T-Bone on BK. Number 1 is
Mizzou, M-I-Z.
No.
Oh.
Any guesses?
Ohio State.
The number 1 team in the country is according to the coaches.
Say Ohio State was my lean.
They should be. They're the champions.
They're 2. They're the number 2 team in the country according to the coaches.
Typically how this goes, I would say Georgia.
They're number 4. They got 3 first place votes. Any other guesses?
Show me. I'm going to go Texas.
Texas. Manning gets the number 1 spot.
Texas is your number 1 team in the country, according to the college football coaches. Texas 1, Ohio State 2, Penn State 3, Georgia at 4. What do those teams all have in common, Alex? They play for 2 conferences. One, the SEC. The other is the Big Ten. The Ohio State and Penn State side of things, 2 and 3. The Big Ten, Georgia, Texas are both in the SEC.
Technically, they all don't have something in common. Only 2 have something in common with each other, and then the other 2. Never mind. We'll move on.
Yeah, 2 pairs. There we go.
Takes 2 to tango.
Where do you think Illinois is at on this top 25?
Not
list,
even
Alex?
25. Oh, yeah, you wish.
I would say.
Have you seen it, T-Bone?
I have.
Yeah. Alex, where do you think they are?
I would say 18, 16, somewhere in that range.
You went too high.
I went too high?
Yeah. They are in the top 25. You were too high. They are a smaller number than 16.
21.
No, smaller.
Oh, smaller. So I went too low.
What?
At Linden Education.
Hold on. No,
You went too high. The lower numbers would be... Anyways, yeah.
Just give me the damn number.
They're at 12, which is a smaller number than 16.
I went too low. The threshold.
Am I misunderstanding this?
25 is the lowest number. 1 would be the highest number.
Yes, I guess he technically went
Highest
too low.
rank,
I was gonna
lowest
give you
rank.
a lower number, but whatever.
Well, we're
That's
just going
fine.
rank.
Tomato,
I
tomato.
think you were
suppose.
confused, not me.
Now that I hear you say that, I can understand how you would have been confused
Yeah,
by the way that
shut
I was
up,
phrasing it. We were
314.
coming about it from 2 very different
Shut up, 314. Numbers aren't tough for me. I knew what I was talking about. Highest rank is 1. 25 is low.
You got yelled at by the 314. I got yelled at by the 618. BK, take my damn mic drop I'm about to send. I can't do anything if you haven't even sent it yet. Anyways.
Alex is right. Hell yeah, NY on our YouTube chat.
No, now I understand where
And
you were
Gator.
coming from. That's my bad. All right, so Illinois is at number 12 in the college football coaches poll way too early. I think these are all ridiculous that we do them, but whatever. T-Bone, how's that feel as a fan?
It feels good. It adds to what is my excitement already. I was already excited and ecstatic for the season. I figured they'd be in the top 25. I didn't expect like 12. I thought they would get put in like that 20 to 25 range. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm ready to go for the college football season.
636.
Score. I gotta look at what was Mizzou last year in the coaches poll.
I think they were like top 15.
I would say they
20.
were high.
They were 20 last year.
Interesting. I'm surprised that they were that
Wow,
low.
the coaches got it right.
They were that low. I just did
See?
it.
You didn't get it either. Oh, no, sorry. It auto went to January where the season ended. At this time of the year last year, they were 11th.
They were right
I
around
wouldn't get too
where
excited
Illinois
about
is.
where Illinois is, T-Bone. Or
we're better
how
than
low
Mizzou.
they are on that list, right? Score.
And that's why I made fun of myself, because I just did the thing where I was like, oh no, Alex was right. SEC teams that are in the top 25 in this coaches poll: Texas at 1, Georgia at 4, Alabama 8, LSU 9, South Carolina 13, Ole Miss 15, Florida at 17, and Tennessee at 18. Then you have Texas A&M at 21. That is 9 of the top 21 teams in the country.
Mizzou is bleeped.
Yeah, Mizzou is at 27th. Oklahoma is considered to be 26th based upon their votes.
Mizzou doesn't even have a freaking quarterback. And
That
they
means
can't.
11 of the top 27 teams, according to coaches, are currently residing in the SEC.
Yeah. Now it makes sense why Drink wanted to expand the playoff field to 30 teams.
Yeah.
More SEC teams get in, more Big Ten teams get in.
On the Big Ten side of things, you have Ohio State at 2, Penn State at 3, Oregon at 7. I still can't believe Oregon is a part of the Big Ten, but neither here nor there. Illinois at 12, Michigan at 14, Indiana at 19. I think that's it. Am I missing anybody?
No, I think that's it.
So 6 of the top 25 for the Big Ten this year. That feels about right based upon my own personal feelings on the two conferences. I think the Big Ten's really good at the top again this year. I think last year the Big Ten was better at the top than the SEC was, and that ultimately showed itself as we got into the college football playoff. This year, I think the SEC might be as good at the top, and it is deeper. We're back to what it was a couple of years ago with the SEC just clearly and definitively being the best conference in America. That's kind of how I feel going into it. Do you guys feel the same way?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what I felt like going into the season, that SEC was going to be the juggernaut with all this. I don't know if I expected 11 in the top 27, though.
It's a lot.
Like, I don't know what the most is in terms of like and again, it's the coaches poll, but still, I don't know what the most is, but that seems like it's the highest it's been in a long time.
It's the SEC, baby. It just means more out there.
Yeah,
Not the Big Ten, cupcake conference.
Hey, we're a basketball conference, okay?
So I could tell.
I'm not surprised that there's this many, because I think every year when you go into it, the SEC always gets a little overhyped. The thing for me, though, this year is this doesn't feel like overhype. Of these teams that are like in the top 25, the only one that I feel like is like fringe is Tennessee because their quarterback situation. Outside of that, I really like everybody else. Oklahoma, Missouri are probably on that just outside looking in my book. But yeah, you still end up with 8 in the top 25. That feels right, and to your point, feels like the old SEC. Because at times, like a couple of years ago when the Pac-12 was still a thing, RIP, I remember everybody would say, oh, the SEC is the best conference. And I'd look across and I'd go, no, the Pac-12 is. There's no way you can even argue that the SEC is.
And why did you feel that way that year? You remember? It's quarterback play.
Yeah.
Quarterback play was really good in the Pac-12 that season. You look at the SEC this year, dude, there's some pretty good quarterbacks coming back. Mm-hmm. Whether it's LSU, Nuss, you've got Lenore Sellers at South Carolina. You've got a bunch of transfers coming into the conference this year. DJ Lagway at Florida. Like the middle of the conference this year, places like South Carolina, Florida, they've got some really good quarterback play. And that changes things. And you've got Arch Manning at Texas, who's making his debut this season. When you have that level of quarterback play, and let's just be honest, the defense in the SEC is always the best in the country, in my opinion. That's when things start to change, and you get back to where it could have been in a couple of years ago. It definitely was not here last year, in my opinion. I did not feel like the SEC had the same level of dominance as it has in previous seasons, and this year I think you could get back to it. One thing that could be interesting for Mizzou is whether or not they have the best offense in the SEC. One of their wide receivers, Marquise Johnson, Speedy Johnson is the way that he likes to go about it. He was asked about what the ceiling is for Mizzou's offense in 2025. You ready to hear this?
God, don't say something stupid.
It's an all-time great
Don't
quote.
say something stupid.
The talent's here. We just got to go here and go out there and learn it and come play football. This offense can be the best in the nation, or it can be the worst in the nation. Stay tuned.
What will cause it to go one way or the other?
Us. I mean, nobody can control our team but us.
Could be the best in the nation, Alex. Or it could be the worst in the nation.
Boy, I do not feel optimistic now about this team after that comment.
That's a big swing. From
technically
164 or whatever.
Technically,
it is.
the end of the year, when he's asking about this offense, he was right.
Well, probably not, actually, because it probably won't be either the best or the worst.
Yeah, but it'll be in the middle. But he said it was all up to us where we finish. Are we going to have another one of these moments like we did at the beginning of the show?
When I saw this, I was like,
did he take a shot at Sam Horn at the beginning, too?
What do you mean?
Where he was like, we just got to get in the room and we just got to learn the playbook, learn the plays. Didn't he say at the beginning? Play the beginning.
The talent's here. We just got to go here and go out there and learn it and come play football.
Right there. Wasn't that Sam Horn's big issue? He couldn't learn the playbook before?
I mean, as a freshman.
Well, he's taking a shot at his quarterback. Maybe his quarterback. They don't even have a quarterback.
Strink's made clear we don't have a starter.
Yeah.
I loved Strink's presser yesterday. He opens up with the media. Hey, we don't have a starting quarterback. With that, I'll take any of your questions.
Everybody in the room.
Well, anybody got anything?
Yeah, I was gonna
That's pretty
say,
much it.
now
we can
I'm
wrap
checked
this up.
out.
Let's go, boys. That's one of the all-time greatest quotes I've ever heard.
Smart. Get the questions out of the way that you know you're going to have, and then you don't have to worry about them.
I'm talking about Marquise Johnson.
Oh, I was talking
the
drink.
best offense in the country or the worst offense in the country. What? Can you explain that a little bit for me here? What do you mean you could be the worst offense in the country? I think there is no scenario where Mizzou is a bad offense this year.
Bad follow-up question, too. Who's it up to? Us. Okay. Well, shoot.
I think I understand what he was getting at there. It's just like, hey, listen, it's all up to us. We have all the talent in the world. We've got to go out there and prove it this year. Like, I get that. Just the phrasing of we could be the best or the worst offense.
From the 314 next job interview. I could be your best employee you've ever had, or I could be your worst. It's all up to me.
Yeah, we'll just have to see.
Thanks. You got the job.
Coming up next, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers here on 101 ESPN.
got questions, we may have the answers. Maybe. It's BK and Ferrario's Questions and Answers on 101 ESPN.
Alongside Alex and T1 on BK, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. Let's start out with this from the 618. Guys, how do you believe the coming lockout will affect baseball's free agency this offseason? It's an interesting question. I don't know is my honest to God answer, but do you guys have any theories on how the lockout in 2027 could affect free agency this offseason?
I would imagine one-year deals, right? I don't think you see long-term contracts for players if owners know that lockout's coming and don't know what it's going to look like on the other side of it. So like Kyle Tucker, for example, I mean, I would imagine he's going to get a long-term contract, but because
I don't think it affects him.
But
more the middle.
Beyond that, yeah, it's the one-year deals.
Yeah, I don't know, because I could see it going one of two ways. One, you get a smaller value but longer term handed out to these middle-class free agents, or they do what you're talking about, kind of these one-year deals. Because I remember Nick Pivetta, who just shoved against the Cardinals. When he was a free agent, there was a lot of talk from Ken Rosenthal that teams did not want to give him multiple years because, one, they had to give up a draft pick because he was on the QO, and two, because of the upcoming lockout, teams were already starting to think of that. Now, of course, it took a madman and A.J. Preller to get a deal done, but I do think it will be part of the conversation and part of the calculus this offseason.
I wonder if you could see teams that almost take it into account on the money side of things as well, where they have a lower salary next year, kind of what the Cardinals did with Sonny Gray and with Wilson Contreras. Lower salary hit this upcoming season in 2026, and then boost it significantly for 2027, and then have another bigger year in 2028. And the reason why you do that is because, hey, if I'm not paying it in 2027, cool.
Yeah.
I got the cheap year, and then I'll pay the freight on the back end of 2028. So, like, Pete Alonso would be an example of this. He's going to be 31 years old. I'll get a 3-year deal done with him. And one of those seasons, I just go in knowing I'm probably not going to pay the entirety of this contract because of the potential of a lockout. I think when you start saying, like, hey, we're only going to give all of these guys 1-year deals, you'll have enough owners that are just Alex Bregman, Chris Sale, Bellinger, Cease, these guys towards the top of the market. They're all going to get multi-year contracts. And that's... I just don't know where it's going to start. Like, who are the guys that'll get 1-year deals that otherwise would have had 2, 3, 4, 5-year deals? I don't know how much that'll really affect it. So it's hard to say, man. All right, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line from the 314. Guys, what is the highest or lowest, BK, number that the Cardinals can pick this year? Can the Cardinals get a top 10 pick again or not? Please help to clarify for us. My understanding is that the Cardinals cannot pick in the top 10 this year. That is my understanding of it based upon the lottery over the last couple of years, where they have selected. My understanding is that in 2026, they're not eligible to select in the top 10. So that's my understanding. That is from somebody with the Cardinals. So I think that's right. But
we'll see.
We'll find out together.
We'll find out in the offseason.
Watch the Cardinals be wrong.
Yeah.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line from the 217. Alex, which Blues player do you believe will progress, and which Blues player do you believe will regress from where they were last year?
Ooh. I would say Snuggerud's going to progress. And I don't know, regress. Maybe Tyler Tucker. I think people might see Tyler Tucker's second half of the year last year and think that maybe there's a little bit more upside and it'll just fall back down kind of to where it was. Other than that, man, like, I don't really know if there's any other young player on the team that I would look at as regression proof. Like, I think Broberg's going to go forward still. Holloway's going to go forward still. Haven't really seen Dvorsky yet. So, yeah, my answer would be Tyler Tucker.
If you're talking about progress, take that next step forward, I think the answer that I would hope would happen would be Busch. Busch gets back to Busch of old, because I think that's the guy that can really elevate their ceiling.
No, they just said which Blues player.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
If you're talking about regress, the one that I would throw out there, and you didn't even see him for a full season, would be Cam Fowler. I think Cam Fowler had an unbelievable tenure here in St. Louis after he was acquired from Anaheim. I don't know if he's going to be able to sustain that. If he does, then that's a huge bonus for the Blues. But I think they've really got 3 guys on defense that I would say I could see some regression. Not to where it's significant and bad for them, but I would put Fowler there.
It's a good answer. Progression, I'll go with Jordan Kyrou. I think he gets more than 70 points next year.
Oh, hell yeah.
Regress, Colton Parayko.
That's a good one.
Shut your damn mouth.
16 goals, 36 points in a 64-game season for him. Do I think he's likely to be 45-ish points over the course of 82 games next season? Probably not. Do I think he's going to be a 20-goal scorer for them next season? Probably not. None of that is to suggest I think he's going to be bad. I think he's going to be a really good player for you, but those are just big numbers. And it might be true, Alex, you've talked about this in the past, that Jim Montgomery's system just allows for that. You get more out of your defenseman, and he's going to be on the ice for 23 to 24 minutes a night, so he gets a ton of opportunities. Possible, I would bet against it. So that would be my answer on the regression.
Neighbors is another one for me. I think Neighbors progresses.
Okay, I thought you were going to say regress.
Okay, I think he's better than a 46-point player.
I just don't know time-wise how he's going to be able to get there.
Yep. I think last year was kind of the
I think that's who he is for me.
First half wasn't an anomaly. I think he's more of a 25 plus goal scorer with power play numbers. And I don't think he was that last year.
Interesting. Do you think he's going to get the playing time for that, though? Because I think he's going to be a pretty consistent third-line winger, no?
I think injuries will allow him to move up, and I think underperforming for certain players will allow him to move up, and I think he'll be on that number one power play unit.
Fair enough. Coming up next, yesterday, John Mozeliak was asked if he has heard and understands the fans' criticism of what his time has been here in St. Louis and how he thinks they can get back to what they were earlier on in his tenure. I think you're going to want to hear this answer. We'll let you hear it next year on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK. So yesterday, John Mozeliak did his weekly hit on KMOX. And he was asked about the Cardinals' criticism that they get from fans and whether or not he and the organization hears what fans are criticizing them for and what he thinks of the empty seats that are available at the ballpark right now. Go ahead and take a listen.
I'm there every day. I definitely know that it's not what it once was. I do feel like ever since we came back from the pandemic, it hasn't been necessarily the same, but you're seeing other places draw. And I think it's more than just necessarily like talking about winning baseball. There's other things that are around the ballpark that we have to just make sure that we can address, from things like safety, parking, accessibility. All of those things need to go into how we approach getting back to where we were for so long. And it's not a light switch. It's not one simple answer, but, I think a thoughtful and strategic way to do it, I think eventually the fans will come back. But you got to always remind yourself there are some ebb and flows and cycles of these things. And, every team has experienced a lull over the last 30 years. No one is consistently drawn, with the exception of maybe the Cardinals for that period of time. But now we are starting to see a dip. There's no doubt about it. And we can't take our customers or our fans for granted. And we have to make sure that we hear what they want and address that.
I think it's a pretty good answer, honestly, Alex. Not sure what more he can say. I mean, there's other things that he can do, that the Cardinals can do, but if you're just talking about words, I think it's a pretty good answer from John Mozeliak. I do think they've got a problem on their hands here, and I don't think it's an easy fix. So you look at the attendance numbers for this season. The Cardinals right now find themselves 19th in Major League Baseball in attendance on the season. They're very likely to finish somewhere in that range. Right now, they're averaging about 29,000 fans per night. The Cincinnati Reds are right below them at 20th. They're at 27,000 fans per night. Remember when the Reds team president came out and said, what else are you going to do in Cincinnati? You're going to come watch us.
It worked out well for them, though. Look at them now.
They're in the same range right now, currently, between the Cardinals and the Reds.
Turns out there were other things to do in Cincinnati.
I watched that series over the weekend, Alex, and all I could think to myself was, that's what it used to be like to go to Busch Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Petco Park is rocking, man. Those fans are so into it. They've got the sing-along that they do, and listen, that's a stupid thing, but it's fun, right? It's something that you can be involved with. You're part of the community. The area around Petco Park has been built up in a significant way. They are averaging this year like 30-plus thousand fans per night. They're currently third in Major League Baseball. 40-plus thousand fans per night. They're at 42,000 fans per night in San Diego. Now, you want to talk about a place where you can do other things? You can do other things in San Diego. You can find a lot of stuff to do out in San Diego, and it's not as if that's a massive market size. They've lost every other team. They've still got Padres.
Wow.
Damn.
Way to kick them while they're still down, Brandon.
Just being honest. Like, hey, man, you want to talk about another place that got a team stolen from them? The football team? They're gone. Basketball team?
Hawks?
They left. They all went to the Big Brother in L.A.
You're a jerk.
You know the Clippers used to play in San Diego?
I did.
Once upon a time.
I did.
Now they don't.
I didn't know that.
I did. And now they don't.
No.
They lost them to L.A.
So look at their attendance, right? I think they can be instructive on this. They built Petco Park back in 2004, right around the same time, similar time frame as when the Cardinals built New Busch. That first year, they had 3 million fans, and then 2.8, 2.7, 2.7, 2.4. They lose 99 games, and then boom, it totally diminished. 1.9 million fans the next year. And then it stays hovers around 2 million fans basically up until the pandemic. And in 2019, it gets 2.4. It has a slight uptick. You could feel it going in that direction. That's like the Fernando Tatis, Manny Machado, things are starting to happen here. And then you come out of the pandemic, it's a little lower than you'd expect because, it's not full capacity early on in that season. But then the next season in 2022, 2.9 million fans. The next year, 3.2. The next year, 3.3. This year, they're on pace for more than 3 million fans in the stands once again. What they did worked. And what they did was invest, man.
Yep.
They invested in the product. You can see it. I'm looking at it right now. 2019, they had a $90 million payroll. The following season, 140. After that, 150, 190, 230, 160, 190. There was clear investment by the organization, which has netted a huge investment by the fans. One thing led to the other. It was not some this is causation. It is very clear to see. You invest, fans come. And so that's what I'm going to be curious about, Alex, is man, they can do all of these different things to make the stadium more appealing to go to. And all of that should be taking place right now. But ultimately, it is about winning. Do you have a product and winning in an entertaining way too, having stars out there that people can see? If you can do that, fans will come back. It could take a while, though, if you don't do this in a way that fans latch onto, that fans feel like you are speaking to them. So I don't know how this goes. I don't know if they're incentivized to do it. I don't know what they want this to look like. But, Alex, they've got a problem right now. 19th in baseball in attendance. That is not Cardinals baseball.
And it's going to keep going down. The one part of the Mo quote that when he was talking about, and on some part he's right, where he's saying look, it's not a light switch that you just flip and this thing gets corrected, because there was a underlying issue that needed to be fixed in terms of their minor league system and how they operated and making sure that it was fluid from top to bottom. But the part that I disagree with when you say it's not a light switch, man, this fan base is very dedicated. If you just show the ability to compete, they'll go out and support. The problem for the Cardinals over these last few years is everyone can notice it. You're not trying to compete. You're selling it as you think you can be competitive, but the roster moves don't match what you're telling them. And that's the part that when you look at what San Diego did, you mentioned 2019, it went from one to the other. What did they do? They signed Manny Machado. They went out there for one of the best free agents out there, and they said, we are going aggressive. And they got him. And then from there, they just kept building on top of it.
Before that, it didn't work. And somebody on the text line said, guys, just to be clear, they invested smartly. Not always. They've had some misses. That Xander Bogaerts contract, disaster. Yeah. The Eric Hosmer deal that they made, disaster. That was the first one. Yeah. The first sign that the Padres were really starting to push was them signing Eric Hosmer. That's kind of been forgotten because he wasn't a stud for them, but it was Hosmer, and then it was Machado, and then they continued to invest from there. And Preller is aggressive on the trade market as well.
That's what I was going to say. And prior to that, I think this was Preller's first couple moves. His first try was with Matt Kemp, Justin Upton, B.J. Upton. I think James Shield was the big pitcher that they went after. He tried it 2 or 3 times before it finally clicked when he went, Machado, one of the best players. Yeah, that's the guy.
Yeah, but you know what? There was never
a player in his prime.
There was never a fear factor involved with this.
Nope. No.
They made a mistake and they said, well, we're going to fix that. We're going to fix that. We're going to fix that. And they did. Now, some of this is player evaluation, like seeing in Fernando Tatis Jr. that was something that you could turn into a superstar, finding Jackson Merrill and turning that into the superstar. But, I mean, if you look at their roster from top to bottom, it's just being willing to throw money or throw prospects at players because why? You say, we're going to be damn good. We heard that quote from Oli last week of making sure, I want this roster to look at every single game like they're going to win. That's the Padres because they put that roster together. And that's the part that I just disagree with, saying that it's not a switch. You got to be patient. It doesn't have to be patient. It doesn't have to wait for you to draft and develop a superstar. It could be fixed in terms of just going out there and acquiring that guy.
Here's a question for you. We would agree. San Diego, similar market size to St. Louis, correct?
Yeah.
So I've been told.
I mean,
they have
objectively, it's accurate. They are very similar in size and everything. How many players do you think were drafted and developed by the Padres? That are currently on their active roster. Their 26-man active roster players that were drafted and developed by the organization. Did not come from the outside.
So I think Cronenworth was.
Yep, Merrill is,
yeah.
Was Suarez?
Just so you know, Cronenworth was not drafted and developed.
Oh, my God. Where'd they get Cronenworth from?
They traded for him from the Rays. In 2019.
But they developed him.
Is Suarez? Suarez might be.
Suarez and Merrill.
Is that it?
I'm saying
Suarez
2.
was a free agent. Oh, my God. He came over from Japan.
Okay, so Merrill.
Is it just Merrill? I'm looking at their front.
There's probably a couple of other arms that I don't know of, but I'm going to say less than 5, so I'm going to say 3.
I'm going to go 2.
Is it
just Jackson Merrill?
Son of a...
Is it? Oh, wow. That's impressive.
Jackson Merrill is the only player on their 26-man roster that was drafted and developed by the organization.
Ooh, now do the Cardinals.
Now, it's not a bad thing to have players on your roster that are drafted and developed. But the reason that I'm bringing this up is because you don't have to exclusively do it this way. Even in this market size, you don't. You just have to pick a lane and be really good at it. And AJ Preller picked his lane. He's really freaking good at it, dude. He's also not afraid to admit mistakes. Like, if he sees, hey, this is an opportunity for us to pluck from X to get better at Y, he'll do that. If he sees Mason Miller is available, all right, here's a top 5 prospect. If he sees there's an opportunity to go out there and make a big move, whether that's in the season or in the offseason, he is unafraid. The Cardinals this year drafted and developed players that are currently on their 26-man roster. Brendan Donovan, Alec Burleson, Lars Nootbaar, Mason Wynn, Nolan Gorman, Victor Scott, Pedro Pajes, Jordan Walker, Michael McGreevy, Andre Palante, Kyle Leahy, Andre Granillo, and Gordon Graceffo. So 13 of their 26. Again, the Padres have won. That does not mean one is better than the other, but it's a sign, it's a reminder of there are multiple ways to develop a roster. There are multiple ways to go about this, and I think that the way that the Padres go about it speaks to their aggressive nature, and it speaks to their fan base, because they know when there's an opportunity out there, we have a guy in charge that will take it. The Cardinals now, every time that we talk about a free agent, Alex, you go into it saying they're not going to do that.
Yeah, you get pre-med.
And you're not wrong. And that is something that leads to apathy among fans. When you see opportunities available, opportunities that exist out there, like Jarren Duran was available. You know who was in on him?
San Diego.
The San Diego Padres. You know who would never be in on him?
The Cardinals.
The Cardinals. Under the current regime. Maybe that changes with Heimblum. I don't know. But that's the kind of stuff that just becomes frustrating as a fan, where you feel like there's opportunities out there to get better, and the team doesn't seem to take advantage of it.
And this is the part that I don't even think it has anything to do with Heimblum. Heimblum is just coming into an organization that has a boss that isn't going to be unwilling to spend. Like, this is where you get to the question of, like, what's their motives moving forward when you see them trying to move off of Sonny Gray and move off of Wilson Contreras and Miles Michaelis? I think that's where the ownership is at right now. Financially motivated to clear as much money off of the books as possible so that you're not spending. I don't know if you're ever going to get back to that.
Can I read something for you real quick?
Sure.
This comes from the text line. BK, the Padres have way more money than us. They also have one of the most aggressive general managers in baseball. The Cardinals don't have. That's why you need more of a modern leader. On the first part of that, I'm not sure that's true.
Everybody compares them as a smaller market like the Cardinals.
The Padres' TV situation is worse than the Cardinals.
They don't have a TV deal. They're exclusively on MLB. You have to buy their package.
They had a 20-year, $1.2 billion contract that expired after the 2032 season. That was $60 million in revenue per year. The Cardinals had a better deal. Now, it's gone down because of the FanDuel Sports Midwest situation, but their TV in San Diego is now like being produced by Major League Baseball. They just have the streaming stuff. Like, I purchased my streaming rights through Amazon Prime, which allows me to get FanDuel Sports Midwest. They basically just have that. Like, for everybody, if you want to watch Padres games, that's the way. The thing for them is they've got fans that really want to watch the Padres, and that helps. But, yeah,
you know why fans really want to watch the Padres? Because they're an entertaining brand that always looks like a team that's willing to compete.
They're super exciting, and they're young, and they're fun and energetic, and they have a president of baseball operations that goes for it like a madman. Man, there's value in all of these things. So, how do the Cardinals get it back on track? Dude, a reinvestment, a reinvigoration of this fan base is needed in the worst possible way. And that doesn't just come because you're young. It comes because you're good, and it comes because your team has shown you. Like, think about the teams whose fan bases are most energized right now. The Phillies, I would say, are one of those teams. Mm-hmm. I think the Blue Jays might be up there right now because they've shown a willingness to invest, and they chase stars like crazy, man. They just haven't taken their money just yet. I would say the Mets, the Dodgers, the Padres. I think Diamondbacks fans, generally speaking, are energized, but it's not been a good couple of seasons, so it's hard to say that.
But you know
certainty.
what? They keep trying. They keep trying in off seasons to make it better.
I would say the Cubs coming into this year were certainly energized. And I would say still right now they probably are because PCA has been developed. They went out there and got Kyle Tucker. Houston is definitely up there. These teams are all super aggressive, man.
And I don't know if they were here this year because I don't think they did anything big. But the Royals, when they had that offseason, didn't it bring a little energy to them?
Absolutely, because it was a sign of the team is ready to invest. Hell, even right now, like Seth Lugo just signed a contract extension with the Royals. Fans are like, hot damn. Okay, maybe we're not the Yankees farm system the way that we once were. And yeah, they're not a great team right now, but they've got a superstar in Bobby Witt Jr. that they signed long term, and they're trying to piece it together around him. They haven't succeeded this year, but they did last year, and they seem to be trying to go for it again next year. So, yeah. Meanwhile, here in St. Louis, there's just they're lacking that same.
We have concerts at our stadium on Fridays. What do you think?
Also, don't sell out.
Flow Rider
coming up next. NFL Quick Hitters here on 101 ESPN. Hey, it's BK for my friends at Victory Men's Health. It is time for you to unlock your inner champion. What does that mean for you? Does that mean trying to meet some weight loss goals? Do you have low testosterone symptoms? Could be less energy than you once had. Those workouts are not giving you the same amount of results. Those are all potential signs of low testosterone. They could check those levels for you over there at Victory Men's Health. And if you're in the lower range of a healthy adult man, they can bump that back up for you over at Victory Men's Health. They can also help with erectile dysfunction issues. They can tell you a little bit about their vitamin infusion programs, their red light therapy, their cardiovascular testing. This is all available at Victory Men's Health. So check them out today. 4 great locations across the St. Louis area in O'Fallon, Illinois, O'Fallon, Missouri, Sunset Hills, and yes, the location that I personally go to in town and country. So check them out today. 4 great locations, and you can visit them online at victorymenshealth.com. That is victorymenshealth.com. Call them today. Check them out at victorymenshealth.com. Alex, you want to do some fantasy football talk today? We're only a couple of weeks away from the start of the season.
I haven't even started the prep for the draft, but let's go.
I bought my magazine.
Oh,
you're still doing magazines?
Oh, yeah.
That's amazing.
How old are you?
I got that over
Alex,
the weekend.
you want in on our subscription again this year?
Yeah, I absolutely do. Although I feel like it doesn't really help me, so I feel like I suck all the time.
Weren't you good last year?
I was like third.
Yeah,
it's not good enough to
Get
give
your
me
money
the
back,
first,
though.
man.
Hey, man, my goal is just to get my money back.
As Marquise Johnson said, if you ain't first, you're last.
That's more or less what he said.
Kinda.
All right, so ESPN.com put out their do not draft list.
Oh, okay.
Now, this is based upon where guys are going. This doesn't mean, hey, never draft this player, but based upon where he is currently going in your average draft, don't take him there, is effectively what they're saying. Go through a few of these different players at different positions. Let's start out with the quarterback spot. They say do not draft the following 3 players at their current average draft position: Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, Joe Burrow. Alex, when you walk into a draft this year, I know we're still pretty early on.
I'm not going to go with my
those guys
secrets.
that you are considering, or those guys that you're targeting this year?
Jaden Daniels, I'm not. And it's mostly because of this Terry McLaurin stuff, and maybe it gets figured out, but I just don't know. The second year for a rookie quarterback, to me, can be very different. The one I'm surprised on that one is Joe Burrow. Like, as bad as the defense is, you know the dude's going to sling. Now, maybe it's a matter of if he stays healthy or not. Jalen Hurts, I kind of get because of the Saquon Barkley element of this one, and you just don't know how effective it's going to be. But, yeah, I mean, I can see that one, and I would probably have 2 of those guys on my don't draft that early in the draft list.
Yeah, so the Daniels one is the one that I am thinking about staying away from. You mentioned McLaren, you mentioned second year kind of jitters or the sophomore slump. That's one thing on my mind, but like if I got stuck with him, I wouldn't be too disappointed. I am shocked Hurts is on that list because he's a guy that I am targeting all because his tushy gets pushed when he gets to the 1 yard line. Oh, that's some points right there, baby. That's a bunch of rushing touchdowns on top of his passing
Here's
TDs.
the reason why they say.
Where's his
pass
average
him.
draft position?
For Hurts, it's the early 4th round. Here are players going around him currently in that range: Kenneth Walker, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Marvin Harrison Jr., Garrett Wilson, Omarion Hampton, the new running back for the LA Chargers, DJ Moore, DK Metcalf. So there's a lot of wide receiver talent.
Honestly,
in
though,
that general range.
with the exception of a couple of guys, I probably would take Hurts over most of them.
Here's the Jaden Daniels range: Devontae Adams, James Cook, Breece Hall, Mike Evans, Trey McBride, Terry McLaurin.
I would take all of them before I would take Jaden Daniels.
That I agree
But
with.
the Jalen Hurts one,
And now here is Joe Burrow. He's going a couple of picks after Josh Allen.
that's
T.
wild.
Higgins, Alvin Kamara, Tyreek Hill, Brock Bowers, Devontae Adams, James Cook.
See, there's a couple I would
I was
take
going to
Burrow
say, I
over.
think about half of those I'd take Burrow over.
Burrow's tough, man. He just doesn't have that rushing upside. Like, I would rather wait on Burrow and end up with Jaden Daniels in the next round.
Or Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, or Jalen Hurts in the round after Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I mean-
and that's the other thing. Like, you can get Mahomes in the 5th round this year.
Oh, yeah.
You can get Bo Nix in the 6th. You can get Kyler Murray in the 8th. You can end up with Justin Herbert in the 9th, or Justin Fields in the 10th, J.J. McCarthy, Jordan Love in the 10th. There's just a lot of good quarterback picks this
I mean,
year.
I've always been in the mindset
Drake
of
May in
like
the 11th.
take the quarterback later, but like with Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, like those are the 2 that it's like, hey man, if what I'm getting in the running back or wide receiver is an elite, then I'm going to go that decision. But after that, I always seem to wait with the quarterbacks.
All right, do you guys want to go running backs or receivers next?
2 wide receivers.
Wide receivers on the do not draft list, according to ESPN.com. The Chiefs receivers.
Yeah, I get that one.
Yeah, I can understand that. Although I saw the reps in terms of the 11-11 with Mahomes. He threw the ball all to Rashee Rice.
Yeah, he's not going to be playing, unfortunately, for the first 4 to 6
it's only
weeks.
5 games, man. It's fine.
DK Metcalf, Deebo Samuel, Cooper Kupp.
Oh, I'm completely agree on Cup.
Yeah, well, and I'm on TK Metcalf because the quarterback. Honestly, any Pittsburgh people, you just don't
What was
draft.
the other one you said, Debo?
Debo, he's going in the 7th round. Here are some of the players around him: Travis Hunter, Jalen Warren, Brian Robinson Jr., Chris Olave. I like Olave a lot this year. Khalil Shakir, Rome Odunze.
Isn't Olave on the Saints still?
Yeah.
Ooh. A quarterback you're going to go with?
I worry about the QB,
I hear you.
but
They have nobody else to throw to, really. It's him and Rashid.
Kind of why I
Shaheed.
wonder if Debo might be the way to go with McLaren.
I think McLaurin's going to play this year. I have zero concerns about that. I have concerns about Debo's health.
that's where I am.
I am worried about him and the upside that could exist there. So, I would rather have Travis Hunter. I would rather have Chris Olave. I would rather have the certainty of Khalil Shakir, who's attached to a great quarterback in a good system. He's shown the ability to have similar seasons to Debo in the last couple of
I
years.
would take Travis Hunter over all of those that you just mentioned because of the upside.
If they say don't take the Chiefs receivers, man, I'm taking Rashee Rice.
I'm still going to take
Sixth
Rice.
round, going around the same time as Ted McMillan, George Pickens.
I mean, I know he's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks, but when he's there, he's the go-to guy for Mahomes. I had him last season before he got injured, and it was a guaranteed 15-plus points every time.
As long as you feel comfortable of what else you're drafting, I see how you can get to that spot because, you're playing the long game there. If you go, 3-3 in your 6 games without him, you're going to be better off when you have him. I tried a long play like that last year. Now, it failed spectacularly, so maybe I'm not the guy to be telling you this advice. But, yeah, I wouldn't mind taking Rice. He's probably the only one on this. Maybe DK. I like DK still, even though, I don't like Sam Darnold. I saw what he did with Justin Jefferson last year. So, I believe Metcalf could still have a big year. But those other guys, I would try and avoid.
All right, before we get to Katie Wu on the other side here on 101 ESPN, Alex, who are you taking number 1 overall? Do you know?
Number 1 overall?
Yeah, it's Jamar Chase, Bijan, Saquon Barkley, Jahmyr Gibbs. Those are your top 4
I
this
think
year.
if I'm 1 overall, I'm taking Saquon. With that offensive line, I'm taking. Plus, the running backs always seems to get really slim really fast. I'm taking Saquon.
That's where I'm going to.
Now, it feels very Christian McCaffrey from last year where it's like I'm going to take him and the dude's going to be out the whole season.
I would either go Barkley or Gibbs. I would go one of those two.
Dude, Gibbs has become a weapon for Detroit, and I never thought that was going to happen.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Coming up next, we're going to get all of our questions answered from Katie Wu on a weekend that was hard for us to really distinguish from many others of the Cardinals this season. Katie joins us next year on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Cardinals fell to the Padres 7-3 yesterday as they dropped 2 of 3 in San Diego, and they hit the road tonight where they'll visit the LA Dodgers for 3. 9:10 will be first pitch. Sonny Gray will be on the mound for St. Louis. Tyler Glasnow will be on the mound for the Dodgers. The Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. SeaMalondoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Alex, this past weekend, I went to the zoo. Saw Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
Went to a concert. Got to see Rainbow Kitten Surprise on Friday night. One of my wife's favorite bands.
It's Rainbow Kittens.
You went to the zoo as well?
No,
you went to
we
the
did Butterfly House for my daughter's first birthday on Friday, and we had a first birthday party on Sunday.
All of that was really fun.
Oh my gosh, I had
Cardinals
a great weekend.
Also played, and Katie Wu was in attendance out in San
That doesn't
Diego,
count.
which sounds a little bit less fun, but San Diego sounds pretty great. Katie Wu, Cardinals insider for The Athletic, joins us now via the Callier and Thompson hotline. Katie, how'd San Diego treat you?
San Diego, the city, remains an elite road city, 1 of 30, some would say. The baseball, I'm sure we'll get to that. But I had a great time in San Diego personally. Thank you for asking.
Where would the Cardinals game be on like the power rankings for Katie Wu of the weekend in San Diego? Like, I saw you were at the beach. I saw you played 18. Like, where would Cardinals be on that power
I would
ranking?
imagine there was a Mexican restaurant or two thrown in.
Family?
There were 3. There were 3 Mexican restaurants thrown in.
Nice.
I would put the Cardinals series above the train ride to LA. So that's
where we're
it's
at?
not super high, but it's not the lowest. It's not the lowest, guys.
So we would rather be on a train, or we would rather watch the Cardinals than be on a train.
That seems reasonable.
That seems to be
Even
my...
bad baseball is still baseball. It's like pizza. Bad pizza is still pizza.
I'm still getting a hot dog, T-Bone. You're still getting beer.
All right, Katie, let's talk a little bit about what we saw over the weekend, because our open today was basically, how am I supposed to watch this team? Because I genuinely don't know. Like, yes, it is about evaluation, but I mean, what am I evaluating at this point about Nolan Gorman and Lars Nootbaar and, you know, the other 27 players that they have for 7 spots in the lineup that I didn't know a week ago? So how are you watching this team right now, Katie? We'll just ask you the question that we started with.
That's super fair, and a question I've asked myself. And I think, honestly, this is something that is going to be a collective change for all of us, and I'm still trying to figure that out. It's different because in 2023, when the Cardinals sold, the last 2 months were about just getting through the season. There were several players, with respect to them and their careers, that just simply were not major league players and were signed to fill a roster spot to get through the next 2 months, and then they're going to cut ties, see ya. And that's exactly what happened. This year, that's not the case. And that's why there is, well, no one's happy about the situation. There is something to look at when you're looking at the next 2 months, because these players, whether they perform well or perform poorly, are going to help evaluate what the team does in 2026 and beyond. So you're right, we do have an idea for most of these players, but over the next 60 games left, the next 49 games, we have a chance to see just, what can they do to either solidify where they are for the team or maybe grow some optimism. So it's not about, to your point, BK, it's not about wins and losses. It's not about if Oli Marmol brings in one of his 7 right-handed relievers, because they only have 1 lefty, for a lane that doesn't match up to begin with, and they lose the game that they should have won. That doesn't matter anymore. That's going to suck because it's going to happen and it's going to be frustrating, but that's not the focus of the season anymore. The focus is who is going to emerge from this group, this redundant roster with no true answers of what 2026 will look like in terms of a roster construction point. Who's going to emerge and help answer that big question? Because the question for me coming into 2026 is not who performed well enough in 2025. It's who performed well enough in 2025 and fits here. Because as currently constructed, this roster has a ton of problems, and that's going to make the roster analysis going forward even more difficult.
Katie, who do you believe in the Cardinals' perspective is at the top of that priority list in terms of figuring out kind of where they fit in moving forward with their role?
It is, in the most Cardinal way possible, the 2 players they identified before the start of the season as the ones that were going to get the most playing time and the most opportunity so they could make that decision. It's going to be Jordan Walker and Nolan Gorman.
How are we still here?
Wow.
I love it so much. Oh, I love this team.
Yeah, that's where we're at. And I think Nolan Gorman's had enough at-bats to figure out who he is as a hitter. But with Nolan Arenado on the IL, now it's about time to figure out where Gorman fits in from a position playing standpoint, because I know their best efforts have tried to show otherwise. They can't roll out a roster with 7 DHs, okay, and just hope that one of them sticks at a position. You need to figure out where Nolan Gorman can play, whether that's at second base or at third base. And the very early returns, the Cardinals already have a second baseman, 2 actually, who are better than Nolan Gorman at second base, and Brennan Donovan and Thomas DeJacy defensively. Third base does not look good at all, but I'm willing to give Gorman somewhat of a pass because it's been so long since he's been asked to play there consistently. And that was going to be the point of the season coming in when the Cardinals were adamant that priority 1, 2, and 3 of trading Nolan Arenado would exactly take place. It didn't. So it's going to be some growing pains for Gorman at the hot corner, but the Cardinals need to figure out if he can play a position, because they cannot start 2026 with the same DH, we have a catcher at every spot in the outfield kind of mentality that they're rolling in for 2025. And to their credit, I actually think Ivan Herrera looks pretty good in left field. The early returns, I think he looks better than the right fielder, to be honest. But it goes back to the original point of the roster being so redundant. They have to find positions for these guys. So half of it is about, can they hit? The other half is, where can they play? And if neither of those questions are answered, you have your answer as to where they are in 2026. They're probably not with the organization.
Katie Wu is our guest here on 101 ESPN. You can find her great work over at The Athletic. Be sure to follow her on Twitter as well, at Katie J. Wu. Hey, you mentioned his name a few times. Katie, what happened with Nolan Arenado? Can you explain to us this situation?
Yes. So Nolan, as we know, in July missed a handful of games with that shoulder strain that he sustained trying to overcompensate for the finger he could not play through. I believe it was the Pittsburgh series at the end of June. Nolan Arenado, up until this last point, has been on the injured list just 3 times in his 12-year career. 2 of those stints happened when the team he was playing for was firmly out of contention. His one stint for the Cardinals on the injured list was the last 2 weeks of the 2023 season. The Cardinals finished 20 games under 500. Okay, sure, I get it. So I think my read of the situation, and we haven't heard from Nolan, we haven't talked to him, is this was an injury he would have played through because he never takes a day off if the Cardinals were competing, even though it was very clear that it was impacting him. He hasn't homered since June 21st. His OPS in July started with a 4. Those are not good things. Watching Nolan Arenado, I know the offensive decline was there before the injury, but it really expedited in July, and I think that was tied into the injury. I think he would have played through it if the Cardinals were contending. When you sell at the deadline, you're sending a clear message that you're not anymore. So for Nolan, who wants to play for a contender, who has not done a good job of being able to play for a contender based on his overall performance this year, him going on the IL gives him a chance to actually rest and recover. I don't think he's going to miss the rest of the season, but we don't have an established timetable yet. And as much as you hate it for the player, it did open that door for a true transition season, the type of season the Cardinals advertised heading into the year that didn't happen because they were essentially unable to trade Arenado. So that's where they are at with their starting third baseman. My hope is that we see him at some point before the end of the year. We'll see, though, as we find out more information.
I'm going to ask what I want to acknowledge on the front end is probably a stupid question.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, let's start there. But out of curiosity, because this is something that we saw with Doug Armstrong on the blue side of things, he decided to do this with a player that did not want to go to a specific place. He said, all right, you're going on waivers, and then they'll pick you up. Is there any scenario where you think a team would pick up Nolan Arenado if he was placed on waivers?
Oh my God, how stupid!
I know it's a stupid question, but out of curiosity, do you think another team would pick him up and take on the remainder of his contract in the scenario that he was placed on waivers by the Cardinals?
I think so. I don't think you're looking at a DJ LeMahieu incident with the Yankees. The problem is the Cardinals will never do that, as you know, BK. This is just not a situation where, and this is not a Mo decision. It won't be a Heimblum decision. It's a money decision. So you're looking at the DeWitts. There is just no way the DeWitts are going to eat $40 million. Okay, they're not going to do that, especially when they have $35 million tied into Sonny Gray next year. That, maybe they try to move him, maybe they don't. No trade clauses are a thing. I don't see a situation in which the Cardinals eat that money. The whole point of them trying to trade Arenado and why they were not able to find from their end a suitable partner was because no one was willing to eat the amount of money the Cardinals were demanding that they do, except for the Astros, which did not happen because the player didn't want to go there. What a beautiful mess they have made. So, yeah, I do think that a team would pick him up. I think Nolan understands that he's not getting traded at all if he continues to hit like this. The third base defense is great, even better maybe now that we've seen what an actual average third baseman looks like at the hot corner. Sorry, Nolan Gorman, it just hasn't looked good.
It's been bad.
It's been bad, but he's not getting traded if he can't hit the ball have over a 500 OPS at the minimum, right? He needs to have a 700 OPS for that to happen. The Cardinals are not going to eat that money, though. They never have. They never will.
Katie, you've got a great pulse for the fan base. I am curious because we just didn't ask you, what did you view the Cardinals trade deadline as? Did you view it as a success, or did you view it as a missed opportunity to get more?
I'm glad you're asking me this question where I've had a weekend to be rational about the situation.
We still aren't.
When the first trade went down, the Ryan Helsley trade went down, I was on a flight, so that was super cool. 4 minutes into my flight, that trade happened. So the initial return, just seeing what the Mets had gotten an hour earlier for Rogers, I was underwhelmed. And you'll read, no matter what publication, I know I just read in The Athletic, that the Mets won the deadline. A.J. Preller might have done the most moves, but the Mets won the deadline because they did the most without giving the most away. And that's not what you want to hear when you're a team that traded with the Mets. The trade that I liked the most as terms of return was Phil Maton. I think Phil Maton had the highest interest. That's why he went at the buzzer. From an overall standpoint, it's much too early to say what the Cardinals' return looked like if they won the trades. The fact of the matter is we're probably not going to see any of these players outside of Blaze Jordan until 2027 at the minimum. So it's going to be multiple years before we can really evaluate those trades. John Mozeliak was pretty candid. He said it wasn't about acquiring Major League ready talent or soon-to-be Major League ready talent. It was about acquiring the best talent available. So I really hope that Ryan Helsley trade works out because I'm not sure if they did that in the instance, just based on the closing market. Yes, I know he only had 2 months of control compared to many other closers with multiple years remaining, so that is absolutely going to impact your return. But at first glance, I didn't love the Helsley trade. I also didn't love that was all they did, but I wasn't surprised. There is something to be said about consistency with this organization, and they consistently do exactly the minimum. If you are getting hit hard on your left-handed hitters, a direct quote from John Mozeliak, I can see both sides. I can see not wanting to move it if the demand isn't there, and also the person in charge of these trades should probably be the president of baseball operations that is going to inherit that roster. So if you're going to trade a Nootbaar, a Burleson, a Donovan, it should be Chaim Bloom doing that because that's his roster. At the same time, the demand is never going to be higher than the trade deadline for these guys. But if Mo says he wasn't blown away by the offer, fine. I would have liked to see them do more. They didn't. I wasn't surprised. They did exactly what they said they were going to do and nothing else. And again, the Cardinal way. Yay.
That deserves a golf clap.
Katie, out of curiosity, why couldn't Chaim just make those moves?
Now that is a good question.
I'm genuinely asking. I mean, he's there. He's clearly a part of these decisions. Mo has explained this publicly where he's like, I think he gets annoyed when we ask this, but listen, Chaim's a part of this, as are many other voices in the room, and then ultimately we come to a decision together. Cool, no problem. But in the event where there is a decision that is made that impacts almost exclusively 2026 and beyond, it does seem as though that would be a decision that Chaim would be able to make. He's the final voice here. So if they were getting hit hard, as Mo has said publicly, on those left-handed bats, why not just say, hey, Chaim, you make this decision right now. Go ahead and get your offseason started in July.
It's a great question that I don't have an answer to. It's completely fair. It's probably the logical thing that should have been done in this situation. And I understand that there's a lot of John Mozeliak fatigue. I get it. I don't want to discredit and say his entire 18-year tenure has been as exhausting as this trade deadline was and this season. All right. That would be inaccurate. But for whatever reason, he's making the final decisions. Chaim Bloom is in the room. Okay, I know there's a lot of conspiracy theorists out there. Chaim is in the room. Rob Serfolio is in the room. Okay, they're there. The player development analysis group that used to be headlined by Gersh, they are in the room. The one making the final, everyone's making calls and talking to different levels of GMs and people in the front office. The one making the final decision on these trades is John Mozeliak. He is the president of baseball operations for 49 more games. It is completely fair to say, why isn't Chaim more involved in that process? Why doesn't he have the final say? That's not what they decided to do. It's not an answer that's going to go over well. It's the answer that was presented to us. You can disagree with it. I kind of do. Surely you do as well, BK. It's what they decided to do. All I know is that Chaim Bloom, when he takes over in the offseason, will have his work cut out for him. For as slow and boring, frankly, as last year's offseason was, I don't expect that to be nearly the case this year. He has some work to do to get this roster where it needs to be next year.
Alex, you got anything else?
No,
follow up on the deadline?
Unfortunately, Katie, you've broken me once again.
Yay.
One final thing real quick before we get you out of here,
You
Katie.
sound broken too, though, Katie, so I'm sorry.
We'll get through it together, guys.
Did you hear anything on JoJo?
No, it never really picked up outside of the Padres' initial interest. And as I was looking at it, this is my speculation. The Cardinals might have been hesitant to trade him away when John King went down because they knew they were trading Matz. And there is not another lefty on the active roster, as we know. And there's also not another lefty reliever they can use in AAA. So that's good. That's a good sign of a player development system that has really been built to supplement the Major League roster. When there is no lefty reliever that you can use on your, not even on your 40-man, because there are 3 open spots right now, but in your entire AAA team, a problem. That is a problem. And one last tangent for you guys.
Please.
When you look at this roster,
if you need more runway, we've got the opportunity. This is the year for you, Katie.
Yeah, we're the Cardinals.
This is the year. I never want to hear runway or opportunity ever again. But when you look at this Major League roster, the construction of it is not just a 26-man thing. It's a microcosm of the entire organization's lack of building a minor league system that can supplement it with consistent Major League talent. I am not here to say that Oli Marmol is a perfect manager. I will say what he and this coaching staff has done with this roster, where mathematically it just does not add up in terms of who you want to play and the positions they can play. I don't know if anyone else can do it to the job that they did, where we at least sit here on August 4th with somewhat of an understanding of what these players are, because they have been giving that opportunity. And they did a really nice job before the starting pitching imploded of competing. But it is a glaring problem when you don't have a center fielder outside of Victor Scott that you feel comfortable slotting in, and you have 4 corner outfielders already, and you try to make someone else a catcher, who you're supposed to be starting catcher this year, another outfielder, further creating more of a logjam. You don't have anyone that can supplement any of your pitchers. If something happens to the starting rotation, hello, Curtis Taylor, I guess? Is that a name that anyone knows?
Who's the older guy that's at AAA now?
Plesac.
No,
not Plesac.
Plesac has like a 9 ERA. They don't have anything in AAA right now.
What's Drew
So
Rom
that's
up
why I
to?
think this rebuild is going to be longer, guys. They don't have upcoming talent outside of J.J. Weatherholt and Liam Doyle that's going to be Major League ready maybe in 2026. So that's why this roster has to figure it out, because there's nothing coming up. Great Monday for you. Very positive.
Hell yeah, Katie.
What she just said is why I had the meltdown with the TK Roby stuff last week, by the way. What is my guy's name that's down at AAA right now? Is it Curtis Taylor?
Aaron Wilkerson?
Aaron Wilkerson. That's the guy.
Wilkerson.
He's like 100 years old, and he's 36. And he came over, I think, from Korea. He came from overseas somewhere, and is back with the Cardinals in their minor league system now.
All I know is
he's
Katie,
the guy. That's
all
your
I know is
starter
Katie,
right now,
you just nailed this interview.
It was great.
Thank you.
I enjoyed every bit of that.
She voiced all of the frustration that I had built up on Friday after the trade deadline.
Katie, last
you know
time.
what, guys, we'll get it together. Cardinals fans will get through it together. I guess. We
Yeah,
don't
but
really have a choice.
I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, Katie. Like the tunnel seems very dark and bleak right now. There's
Always
bats
does.
in there.
I also don't
does.
see that light, so that's cool.
There's always a light at the end somewhere. Last time I was in LA, Katie, it was the weekend that Albert hit 700.
Where were
at
you when he
Dodger
hit that?
Stadium. I was at a restaurant about 4 blocks away.
With tickets to where?
So
I remember this story.
you didn't hear this?
No, she said she remembers it.
I do.
Oh, okay. I was like, I feel like, yeah. So I hope your weekend your week rather, in LA is every bit as exciting as mine was when I was out there. Because hopefully you get a 700 home run, something like that. Shohei does something crazy. He's starting, right?
He's starting on Wednesday, which is my whole reason for being at this series.
Nice.
I can't wait to see that. I love Shohei.
Nice.
Katie, it's been great. Thanks so much for hopping on with us. Enjoy yourself in LA.
You got it, guys. Have a great week. I'll see you back at the ballpark.
See you,
Take it easy.
Katie.
It's Katie Wu joining us as she does each and every Monday here on BK and Ferrario.
I feel like Katie's my inner animal right now. Just she feels the frustration that I feel.
Yeah. Can I ask you a quick question on the Arenado thing?
No, there's no follow-up questions.
Do you guys think somebody would pick him up on waivers?
No.
No.
Because
Don't they have to take on that contract?
I believe that's
Yeah.
the case.
No.
I think if you put him through waivers, somebody can claim him, but then they would get whatever the contract is, unless he makes it all the way through, in which case then it's basically a release,
Yeah.
and then he gets to go wherever he wants to go. Do you think a team like the Angels, would they take on that contract?
I don't think so. Not that much money. Not that much money and that many years committed to a guy that is just not – he's a shadow of what he was. So, no, I don't think so. And I think that creates more drama of him going through waivers and then basically having to come back to the Cardinals. And
you can put him on waivers, though, and then, like,
pull it back?
Pull him back.
Redact it?
That's what happens sometimes. We see that all the time.
That'll go over well with Arenado.
Would you consider it if you were the Cardinals?
Oh, I would put him on there. Yeah,
I think so.
I think if I'm the Cardinals, I'd pay the money to buy him out.
Yeah.
I just...
We're too poor.
They're not doing that.
Well, I understand that, but, like, you've got no spots.
Yeah, I think that right there is the reason they will do it. Now, it probably won't get, I don't know. Typically, some of the times these get done and they don't get reported. Now, a lot of times they are now, but I think they will do it so they can potentially free up the spot and hopefully get out from under the rest of the contract. Because if you're financially motivated, I don't know how you can come up with a trade for him, and it doesn't feel like you're going to be able to trade Contreras or Gray in the offseason. So, like, the only way I can see you potentially saving money going into 2026 would be putting him on waivers and hoping, like, Art Moreno's crazy and he picks him up.
That's my thing. Like, you're just hoping that one of these teams out there that's super, like maybe Colorado says, you know what, whatever.
Oh,
that would be awesome.
They just traded Ryan McMahon.
I think that causes so much more drama that you're taking the risk, and when it doesn't happen,
unless Artie Moreno or the Chicago White Sox are like,
yeah, I'm sure the Angels will take another third baseman with a huge ass contract that's not performing well.
You genuinely saying you don't think they would?
No,
I have no idea. I have no idea. The Angels apparently tried to trade for him in the offseason, according to Bob Nightingale, and he said no.
Yeah, tried to trade for him, but you got to wonder, was there money being eaten from the Cardinals in that conversation?
Maybe they said that guy is a crazy ass out there in L.A., and he might be willing to take it on.
I think you were taking a risk that could backfire massively on you.
Yeah.
We're in a rebuild. Who cares?
Well, that's why I'm saying I just buy it out.
They've also tried to trade him like 100 times over the last year and a half. So, I mean, maybe this relationship is to the point where, like, who cares? Let's see if there's another option.
They do the Brandon Saad method where they just, mutually agree.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening.
To terminate
He's got
the
money
contract.
that's owed to him.
Saad.
Just mutually agree. Someone will pay.
A few million bucks, Saad can be like, I'll go ahead and forego the next $4 million to make two somewhere else.
Made it up in free agency.
Yeah, whereas Arenado, like, I'm going to forego $50 million to go make 5? Probably not. Probably not. All right, jump to our next. call that you might be interested in.
Oh, yeah?
Celsius energy drinks were inadvertently filled with high noon vodka seltzers.
Oh, that's how you kick off an afternoon.
Can you imagine? You're like, I don't know, let's say you're a salesperson, right? And you've got a long day ahead. You know it. You start off the day with one of your Celsius drinks. You have another one at like 2 o'clock. And you're just pounding high noons.
Yeah. You're like, I'm gonna get through this day. I'm gonna get through this day easily. And then you just start dragging. Room starts spinning. You're like, what the hell is happening? I can only imagine, because I was going to ask, when was the last time you had an energy drink? I had my first energy drink in probably 8 years earlier this season, because I was exhausted season. And I grabbed I think it was a Monster drink from the break room. And I told Grant, I'm like, man, I haven't had one of these in God knows how long. And
last time I had one was when we were in the hospital while Luca was, while we were in delivery.
It kicked my ass. Like, I was like, whoa, I got this spark of energy. I can only imagine if I just start getting buzzed in the middle of a Blues game. That's wild.
Maybe we should do one of these. Which one is it? We fill up some Celsius drinks.
You do energy
blind
drink
taste
roulette?
Test.
Oh, man.
One's a high noon, another one's a Celsius energy drink, and we do that throughout the course of the show.
I don't think I need a blind taste test for that one. I'll know which one's the vodka as soon as I take the sip of it.
Every hour.
Dude, I used to pound energy drinks in high school, though. It was bad.
Some of the things that I now realize what we were doing in high school, I'm like, I can't believe that was allowed. I don't know if they had these here, Alex. We had, they're called the Timothy Lutheran dances. So every Friday night we would go to this church down the street. Yeah, so was that associated with your school, though?
No, there were just other schools around that would just have mixers one Friday night.
So this was in 7th and 8th grade. You just have all these middle schoolers that would go to this church just grinding on each other for an hour.
And they had people that were watching, and they didn't do their jobs. They would just stand there and be like, don't do that.
You'd occasionally have somebody that would come over and say, hey, save a little room for Jesus.
Yep.
Say, all right, cool.
Yep. And then you back away, and then they'd walk away, and then you go back to grinding.
And then we also had this place, it was called Sports City, I believe, in Blue Springs. It was right down the street. And they would have lock-ins where, once a month.
I did one lock-in, and I was like, this is the worst idea ever.
You just stay there all night.
That's a big thing here in St. Louis,
You just see, hundreds of kids running around, hopped up on Mountain Dew and energy drinks up until 5 in the morning.
Eating 5-hour-old pepperoni pizza. Oh, God, yeah. They'd get caught in the bathroom making out. It's what is this? I did one of those, and I'm like, this is like an institution. I need to get out of here.
Yeah. You mentioned the energy drinks, and I'm like, man, I remember when that was a big deal. Was 6th, 7th, 8th grade.
Those
and
mixers, man.
The mixers.
8th grade, we'd go to Quick Trip. You'd get some energy drinks, some AMP energy drinks, and then you'd go to the mixer. Nothing better than a 8th grade hormoned, hopped up on energy drink preteen.
We had a couple of guys on the football team one year that before the game, they went over to Quick Trip and they had this huge, big gulp basically of Rooster Booster.
Oh my God, Rooster Booster.
Cramped up like crazy.
Sure.
A quarter in, it's August. You're playing against Rockhurst. You're just on the side of
Those Rooster Boosters, man. Oh, yeah. They were like, this will get you going. Basically was Code Red with extra caffeine in it.
All right, so coming up in about 15 minutes, we're going to play a game of in or out. You guys give us a scenario. We'll tell you if we're in or out here at BK and Ferrario. But next, what does it mean for the Cardinals if they're building around defense up the middle? We'll talk about that next here on 101 ESPN. Alex, I was looking up some numbers over the weekend on the Cardinals defensively. You guys remember when we were talking about the Cardinals early on in the season? And T-Bone, I mentioned this to you on the show and then, of course, on the Redbird Report as well. I was like, hey, the Cardinals are currently on pace to be the best team in outs above average since they've been tracking that over the last decade. Can this sustain itself? They're now on pace to be the second best team in outs above average over the last decade. So pretty damn good, right? Here's the thing. I was looking into some of the individual numbers. It's two players. Two players that are contributing to the Cardinals' ultimate success defensively.
Pedro Pajes and Ivan Herrera. No? Okay.
Mason Wynn and Victor Scott account for 33 outs above average this season. 33 outs above average.
That checks out.
They are both in the top 7 among all position players in Major League Baseball. In other words, the elite of the elite both rank there among their respective positions. The rest of the Cardinals, Alex, how many outs above average do you think? Mason Wynn and Victor Scott combined plus 33. For the rest of the team, you can be in the positive, you can be on the negative. Like, for the rest of the team combined, every other rostered player, how many outs above average do you think they've been worth this season?
I'm thinking like plus 4 or 5.
I was thinking this was a BK game, so I was going to go low because my original thought was like in the teens, but I'm going to say plus 7.
And you said?
It's got to be a
I'm saying
minus.
plus 4.
Plus 2.
Oh, yeah, BK game.
Plus 33 for 2 of your players.
I didn't think it would be that bad.
Plus 2 for the rest of the roster. Your next best player in outs above average this year is Wilson Contreras at a plus 3.
Okay, I figured he'd be up there.
Hey, that worked.
I figured Arenado would be up there, but
Arenado
outside of that, I was like, I don't
Arenado
know.
plus 2, so JC plus 2. Nobody else is better than a plus 1. Jordan Walker is a minus 3, along with
your
Alec
corner outfielders
Burleson.
have
They're
not
the
been
worst
good
on the team.
Yeah. Corner outfielders hasn't been good, and your catcher's been awful.
I bring this up, Alex, because you are clearly building around 2 guys right now that are elite defensively. Victor Scott, amazing defensively. It's been an uneven, I would say, offensive year. He's been fine, but it's been uneven. Mason Wynn, unbelievable defensively. One of the best shortstops in the game right now. And roughly league average offensively this year. Again, not a problem, but not like a star that you're building around offensively. My question to you based upon this, what does it mean for the Cardinals if those become 2 of the pieces that you're building around? And you know, any given season, I'm going into the year with elite defense in center, elite defense at shortstop, but neither of those guys am I anticipating being, more than 10% above league average in any given season. They're not going to be huge factors for me offensively. What does that mean for the way that they have to construct the rest of the roster?
I mean, you have to construct it with either going out there to find that star potential in a corner outfield spot, which isolates what you're looking for in terms of you casting a net and trying to find that star elsewhere, but it also means you're going to have to put an emphasis on your pitching if you're going to develop that way, in meaning swing and miss, or you're going to have to emphasize on being a stingy team to win baseball games moving forward. Because if you're going down that path where you're defensive first, specifically up the middle, and these are the guys that are the corner pieces, you're relying on defense to be the identity of your team moving forward, which would emphasize you got to make sure that the other positions are heavily influenced that direction and your pitching is up to snuff.
Yeah, I think you can go defensive up the middle like this, and I'm throwing catcher in there as well, as long as the other 6 positions are really good offensively. And I don't even know if all 6 have to be really good, but they can't be lackluster and below league average, because now it just feels like all of a sudden everything starts to topple in on itself. You have to have a lineup that has about 6 guys in it that are above league average, and probably 4 of those 6, I would say, have to be in that like 10 to 15% above league average. And then you need your 2 stars, of course. But that would be the way that you're going to have to build if you're going to go with kind of 3 defensive-minded positions, even though Wynn, yes, is about a league average hitter. I still would like to prefer to have a guy that's 10% above league average. So you can do this, but it just puts that much more pressure on the other 6 positions that you're looking at.
I think it means you have to have a superstar offensively.
Yeah.
Like, forget about what they are defensively. Just on the offensive side of things, if you're going to build around defensive-minded players at 2 positions, and most likely catcher as well, because almost all catchers in Major League Baseball stink offensively. Like, go look at the numbers this year. It's just really bad. It's not a good position right now offensively. Wilson Contreras would be like one of the 3 best right now at that position. So it really, you can go ahead and bring that in here too. A third of your lineup is going to be average to below average offensively. Well, then those other 6 dudes, I better have at least 2 of them that are studs. And right now, you can't claim that on the Cardinals. can't. Wilson Contreras is a really good offensive player. Ivan Herrera has been a really good offensive player this season. They're not at the level that I'm talking about. And that is what the Cardinals need to start prioritizing is, how do we find that guy? Can it be J.J. Weatherholt? I don't know, but eventually that's going to be a question about him. On the YouTube chat earlier today, somebody said, BK, why do you hate Lars Nootbaar so much? Why do you feel like it's urgently important for them to get rid of him? I don't hate Lars Nootbaar at all. I think Lars Nootbaar has a real role. Like, guy that I would compare him to, they're different, but Harrison Bader has a role on Contenders, right? When a team trades for him, the Mets have done it, the Dodgers have considered it, the Phillies just did it, the Yankees did it previously. These teams are trading him for a reason, because they've got the stars that can figure out the offense. I need somebody that I can put into center field that's going to go pick it for me, because that's got some value for these teams. Lars Nootbaar is miscast on this roster because he's a on-base guy that plays decent defense in left field. There's value for the Cubs or the Phillies or the Dodgers in that player. Here in St. Louis, I need something more from left field. So that's where you get into a spot where he's just too redundant. I need something different for that spot in my lineup on this team. So that's where I think they're at. They've got to find these guys. I don't know how they do it. It's not an easy thing to do. It's easier said than done. But, Alex, I think when you're building around players like this, it does put a lot of pressure on finding those pieces that they've really missed on.
And again, you isolate it even shorter to look at the positions where you need that. And it's coming down to a corner outfield spot for how many infielders you have on your team and how few catchers are elite at that position. And then the guys that have contracts that you can't move off of. Like, you're looking for a corner outfield essentially to fill that. And I mean, there's two avenues to go out there and find it. And I'm taking the draft and develop thing out of it because that just takes too long. It comes down to willing to spend the money to go out there and sign the guy that's a free agent, or you identify the talent that is young and up and coming and trade away the controllable assets that you have now to take a risk and go find that one, i.e. when Fernando Tatis Jr. was younger, or the one that I referenced earlier this season, Stowers with Miami, who I know it's only one season, but it looks like it's going that direction.
Or PCA.
Yeah.
The Cubs traded for him while he was still a young player in the Mets system. He was hurt at the time. They had to identify somebody at the deadline. They traded Javi Baez. They end up getting PCA in return a few years later. Now you see what they're getting.
And the problem is I don't trust the Cardinals on either of them. Now, I really don't trust the Cardinals ownership to spend the money to get the free agent, and I don't trust the Cardinals' ability to get that free agent. Maybe there's a little bit more trust now that Heim is in charge, but I've got to see it to believe it, and there's still a lot of time that goes into that. So those are the two avenues you've got, and one of them is fast. The other one takes some time.
Splashback Deuce with the praise coming in from all directions. Cardinals need to improve or they aren't good. What a groundbreaking analysis. Yes, that is part of this. They need to improve or they're bad. It's also looking at the way that the roster is currently constructed and figuring out what does this mean for the moves that they need to make. You are now, it appears, maybe you guys disagree with this, it appears that they are building around a defense-first shortstop. It appears that they are building around a defense-first center fielder. That is not the way that every team builds. It is a way that a lot of teams like to build. But the Cardinals are currently building around two prominent members of this retool that are glove first. That has a trickle-down effect on what you need elsewhere. When the Astros were going through their rebuild, part of that rebuild was finding Carlos Correa, who was a bat-first shortstop. That meant that they could do other things that the Cardinals cannot. They can't give up in other places what the Astros could because they had a bat-first at one of the more preeminent or prominent defensive-minded positions in baseball. The same thing can be true if you have a really great hitter at the catcher position. Very few teams do, but when you do, it allows for you to maybe give somewhere else that the Cardinals cannot. So the Cardinals have that much higher of a threshold for their offensive players in the corner outfield, the places where you would normally expect to get that offense. Corner outfield, corners on the infield. And yet right now, you look at what they're getting from those respective positions. They've had very little offensively from third, and they've had very little offensively from the corner outfield positions this year so far as well. There's pressure on those three spots in your lineup to get it right offensively. That's not the case for every team in baseball. It is the case for the Cardinals right now.
Yeah, I don't know if, my opinion, I don't know if they're building around Wynn and Scott. I think it's kind of how things have laid out this year. but I don't know what to expect, and I don't know if that's because I devalue defense probably more than others, or if it is because there is the change that is coming with Chaim Bloom. And I think back to like his shortstop in Boston, and it was Bogarts was the guy that he built around, and Bogarts was not a great defensive shortstop. He was a fine defensive shortstop, but his bat made up for it. The reason I bring that up is because like I don't think Wynn's a lock to be a part of this core, because I think you listen on him in the offseason. And if you can use him as a piece that is a controllable young shortstop that maybe some teams believe there's more offensive upside to, you part from him and you go out there and look for whether it's the star that we're talking about in whichever way you acquire him. But I don't know what their identity is. I don't know if it's going to be this defensive strong team up the middle. I think that's probably what Oli Marmol would prefer, but I just don't know how to read on what Chaim's going to do with them.
That's kind of where I'm at, too. Like, I don't know if anybody's untouchable on this team. And that's the part that I just can't sit here and look at like Mason Wynn. Yeah, Mason Wynn is a really good shortstop, but I don't know if that's what they're moving forward with. I think if the right offer came in that helped the team, I think Chaim Bloom would listen to that. They don't have an untouchable on their roster right now with the exception of Weatherholt and Liam Doyle, and that's just because they're unknown commodities.
He's Alex's T-Bone on BK. In or out coming up next here on 101 ESPN. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for in or out. You guys give us a scenario. We will tell you if we are in or out here on 101 ESPN. All right, guys, let's start out with this one. In or out, one of the Raiders or Jaguars will make it to the playoffs this year in the AFC. Raiders or Jags will make it to the playoffs this year.
I'm going to say out. I don't think they make it in. Looking who the playoff teams were last year, I think they're the ones that are most likely to be back into it, with the exception of the Steelers. But I still think the Steelers are probably going to take that spot and the Bengals take that one. So I'm going to say out.
I think I'm out as well. Jags, I don't think will be. Raiders are interesting, but I still think they'll fall short because I think I can see Cincinnati just replacing Pittsburgh. I mean, at some point they might be able to outscore all their problems. So I would lean towards them rather than going with the Raiders. They are fun, though. I think they're going to be like that pesky team in the West. I'm
curious with the Jacksonville Jaguars, too, because at least they got an interesting offense. Now, their quarterback stinks, but they got an interesting offense.
Maybe. I don't know if their quarterback is terrible. I think their quarterback is underwhelming relative to the expectations. And I do wonder what a new coaching situation is going to do for him. We've seen this with other teams. Like, we saw this with Baker Mayfield, right? The guy that's coming over from Tampa helped to fix Baker with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Liam Cohen. We've seen this with other quarterbacks around the league as well. Hell, another guy that came from Tampa Bay helped to fix, at least for half of the season, what we saw last year out of Bryce Young with the Carolina Panthers. So I'm really curious to see what that looks like. And then Pete Carroll, I don't think you can overstate just how much of an upgrade he's going to be for the Raiders, man. It changes everything within that organization when you hire somebody like that. I think they'll win 8-9 games this year. I think the Jags are the team that I would pinpoint here. I'm not sure how good the Texans are going to be this year. That offensive line is horrific. I would say in. I think the Jaguars might be a team that could make more noise than people are expecting. I'll go with the Jags as the team that makes playoffs. Alex?
Guys, in or out, the Cardinals do not see the playoffs until the 2030 decade stretch.
Say that again?
The Cardinals do not see the playoffs until the 2030 decade stretch.
I'm going to say out. That's 6 years away-ish, 5 years plus
just playing
away.
The odds.
Yeah, I think at some point, but 26, 27 if we play baseball, 28, 29. I've got a 4-year stretch where I can potentially get in. I do think that
I think you can cancel out the 26 one and 27 one.
I think they'll play baseball in 26. I think.
Oh, no, I just mean the Cardinals. You can cancel out the 2026 season.
Oh, I see what you're saying now.
In 27. So really you're going 28 and 29.
We don't know what Heim's going to. Wow.
It's not Heim, it's the owners that are financially motivated.
Oh, yeah.
I just personally believe this stuff changes quicker than we give it credit for. You look back at the standings from a couple of seasons ago, we probably wouldn't have anticipated at that point in time, like the Brewers still being this good or the Cubs getting this good this quickly. And that's just within this division. The Tigers, same thing, right? A couple of years ago, you'd look at them and be like, oh boy. Meanwhile, the Braves, you'd be like, they're going to be good for the next 5 years. And it just immediately went for them. Yeah. The Rangers won the World Series a couple of years ago. And the Diamondbacks were there. And they both might miss the playoffs this year.
I'll say in because I said on Friday when BK asked the question of like when's the next time they're in the playoffs, I said 2029 and beyond. And if I'm only giving myself 1 year for them to get into the playoffs prior to the 2030s decade starts, I'm going to play my odds and I'm going to say that it's going to be 2030 or beyond that they get in. So I will say in.
Yeah, I'd say I'd trying to remember how I phrased it.
So the Cardinals won't get in until 2030 or on. Yeah. So if you're in, it'll be a long time.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm in. I don't think the ownership's going to be in a situation where they're going to put money towards it. I think they're going to go the youth movement, and I don't think youth gets you there until you get to that decade stretch.
T-Bone?
Guys, last year, the 4 division winners in the NFC were the Eagles, the Lions, the Bucks, and the Rams. In or out, those 4 teams will win their division again this year.
Eagles, Lions, Bucks.
Really, you're asking? I think the Bucks are an easy one.
I'm going to say out. I can't quit the Packers.
Yeah, dude, that's a wild one.
I can see you kind of shaking over there. I thought maybe it was your Packers.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
I'm going to say the Cowboys. That was a joke because they're a disaster. Anyway.
I can't stop. The Lions lost both of their coordinators.
I'm done trying to help
That's a drug you need help on, man.
I think the Packers are a really good team. I like their quarterback. I trust their coach. I think the Packers are winning the NFC North this year. I'm sorry. I just believe it.
I'm gonna say, Ian, those 4 win their division. And then the only one I guess you're really asking is the Rams. No.
Rams are winning their division.
Yeah, well, that's kind of why I look at the other teams and I'm like, I don't see that being a problem. And then you got the Bucs, but the Bucs are significantly better than the Falcons.
You guys think it's no question that the Lions will win the NFC North?
Yeah. I think there's a question. I would say out because I think there's 2 divisions that I'm up in the air on. One is the North because of what the Lions lost. I mean, they lost both coordinators, as you mentioned. They lost their center. He retired like right before the offseason program started happening.
And that was after free agency and after the draft.
So that's a significant loss for them. I am also going to say, and this one is probably one that you're going to disagree with, I could see a bounce back year from the Falcons. I think the Falcons might be able to surprise the Bucs. So
the defense
I think there's
stinks,
2.
but everybody, that entire division is... Carolina's no good. The Saints are terrible. The Bucs don't play defense either.
I'll ask one simple question. Who's the Falcons quarterback?
Michael Penix, and I think he might be good.
I don't think they think that.
What do you mean? They drafted him in the top 10 a year.
Well, I get that, but you still got Kirk Cousins.
Oh, I would be shocked if Kirk Cousins starts a game that Penix is healthy for this year.
Yeah. I agree.
I think once they made that switch, it was over. And he's their backup quarterback this year.
Expensive.
And do I think that Penix is going to be significantly worse than Baker? I don't know. I think that could be really similar this year. And I think the weapons are a little better on the Bucs. The O-line's probably a little better on the Falcons. Defenses are comparable going into the season. I think the Bucs have a better coach for the defensive side, so that'll make it a little better. But yeah, I could see that. I mean, last year they were only separated by 2 games. And that was with Kirk Cousins stinking up the joint.
And the Falcons were in the driver's seat for about half the year, too.
All right, let's get into a few of these from the text line. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for in or out. Guys, in or out, there will be only one Cardinal starter that gets at least double-digit wins this season. I've got to be honest with you guys. I have not looked at their win-loss totals a single time recently. So I'll have to check this out.
Greg's at 10 wins.
In.
Palante's at 6. Michael
Libby's at 6, and Michael is at 6. So basically, in or out, none of those 3 get at least 4 wins the rest of the way. Say in because there's like 45 games the rest of the way, so each of one of them will get like 9 starts. They'd have to win more than half of them. Yeah, I'll say in. They get one starter that wins at least 10 games this year.
Yeah, I'll say in. Play the odds.
Yeah, I'd say in. I'd be shocked if Libby Michaelis can do that in the limited amount of time they have.
Somebody asked us a question about the president. Should we answer that one?
Nope.
In or out? 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line.
I want to see what it was.
From the 314. Guys, in or out, all the errors, misplays, bad throws, bonehead plays by the Cardinals in San Diego are a direct reflection of Oli Marmol as the manager. Coming up next, how are we evaluating Oli Marmol the rest of this season? That one came from the 314. I think they asked a fair question. How are we evaluating Oli as a manager the rest of the year, given what the roster is right now? We'll talk about it next turn. BK and Ferrario.
Alex Ferrario with you to talk about my friends out at Classic Air Care who are here to help you maintain your HVAC system. Whether you got an old one like I have when we moved into our home, or if you had to buy a brand new one, it's important to use the maintenance agreement with Classic Air Care because that maintenance is going to make that unit last for as long as you need it to. Whether it's the cleanings that come with it or the knowledgeable technicians that Classic Air Care sends out to check the unit for you to make sure everything's working soundly, or if it needs a tweak, they are able to help you with that and give you some pro tips on how to maintain it moving forward. All of that falls under the umbrella of the maintenance agreement, to where twice a year in the spring and in the fall, Classic Air Care comes out, they check that unit, make sure it's good to go. They walk you through everything to keep it clean, keep it working healthy, so it gets you through as long as you need it to. And the best part, in my opinion, of it is if something goes wrong or something pops up with an issue, you give Classic Air Care a call. You get priority scheduling because you're a part of that maintenance agreement. They've got over 100 vehicles out on the road, which means they can get to you quickly. They got people that are working on the weekends, 24-hour service available. That's what Classic Air Care is for, making you comfortable since 1926. Give them a call today or schedule online at classicaircare.com.
Tanner Hendrickson here with a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Cardinals fell to the Padres yesterday 7-3 as they dropped 2 of 3 in San Diego. Tonight they will start a 3-game set at the LA Dodgers. 9:10 will be first pitch. Sonny Gray will be on the mound for St. Louis. Tyler Glasnow will get the start for LA. The Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Asked us an interesting question earlier today, Alex. So how are we supposed to be evaluating Oli Marmol the rest of the way? If we all agree the games don't really matter, it's not about the wins and losses. Katie Wu said earlier today, hey, you're going to see some relievers come into situations where it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to you. And that's just the way that this is going to go because they have exactly one lefty reliever on the team. And he might be their closer currently. So, T-Bone, I'll ask you the question that you asked to me and Alex earlier today. How are you going to be evaluating the manager of the team for the final 50 games of the regular season when the wins and losses are not how this team is being evaluated right now?
Can I be honest? I don't really know. I asked the question because I was looking for hopefully an answer. But I don't know how you can evaluate it outside of, like, Heim would like to continue to see the merry-go-round of players kind of rotating in and out of the lineup, which they've done all year long, so I don't expect that to change. It's not like I'm going to evaluate him based on bullpen moves, because when you only have one left-handed bullpen arm, it's hard to find a lane for that guy, and you have a whole bunch of kids that are there. I think the biggest thing for Oli is just making sure that this clubhouse doesn't get lost, and I don't think that's going to be the case. That would be something that would be more of a concern at the end of the year if I see an article in The Athletic that's like, yeah, guys were like taking naps 5 minutes before first pitch, or they had to go wake up somebody for a pinch hit opportunity.
I don't think you'd see that article.
I don't think that will be the case, but I just don't know how you're supposed to evaluate him, because I think it's impressive by what he has done leading up to this point. But the reason that I asked this in the office today was, if you're Chaim Bloom and you're taking over, are you looking at this and going, hey, if this thing really falls off the rails, one, it is an easy explanation. Well, duh, we traded away his 3 best bullpen arms, and he doesn't have a superstar in the lineup. But if you're Chaim Bloom, do you use that kind of how a company would as kind of the excuse to cut the cord and go find your own guy? That's why I find the second half of the season interesting. I don't personally feel that way, to be clear. I think Oli Marmol's a good manager. I think he's been handed a crap hand here for the second half. But I wonder if that's what Chaim is going to be considering in the final 2 months of the season.
I don't think Chaim needs that excuse. Like, if Chaim wants to hire his own guy, I don't think there's anybody that's going to stop him.
Yeah.
No, none of the fans are going to be like, no, you can't possibly do that. You have to keep Oli Marmol in place because of all the success that he had prior to your tenure here. It's not going to be like that. It's not going to be like the Schilt situation, right? Where Mo moves on. It's weird. Nobody totally understands why exactly he went the way that he did.
Won the Manager of the Year award.
Yeah, it was cloak and dagger, and then, like, boom, suddenly you've got this new manager that's put into place. I don't think it'll be that. I don't think he needs an explanation for it. It's like the final 50 games of the regular season, whether he wins 60% of them or 30% of them, I don't think that changes much for Chaim in terms of explaining it to others why he's making a move. I think it'd be pretty simple for him. Hey, I'm now taking over. I want my guy in that seat. I think Oli did a fine job. He's not my guy. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think Oli's, if I had to put the odds on it today, I think Oli will be the manager in 2026. I think that he and Chaim already have a pretty decent relationship with one another. And I think what you're going to see in 2026 is a team that is resembling what we're watching right now. Young, trying to figure out kind of where they fit into all of this. Probably not going to spend a whole lot of money in this transition, rebuild, whatever you want to call it, phase. And I think that's kind of going to be what 2026 is. So I don't really see a reason to make that move this offseason when you're just going to throw that new manager into a role that's difficult to have a whole lot of success in. So to answer your question, T-Bone, how is he going to be evaluated the rest of the year? Just make sure you continue to do what you've done. Keep the guys playing hard. Put them into the best positions to succeed. Make sure you're kind of like a little league coach where everybody gets to play. Make sure guys get enough rest to where they're not getting hurt. Just do the stuff that you've done this year. And as long as he does all of those different things, I would say it's been a success the rest of the way. And I think most likely, if I had to guess, I think Chaim Bloom is probably also going to be evaluating it that way. That would be my guess, at least.
Yeah, I mean, my evaluation of him, if I'm Chaim Bloom, took place early on in the season. I mean, you were handed a crap sandwich in terms of this pitching staff, and the expectations were very minimum. And what was he? He was 6 games above 500 at one point, 7 games above 500 at one point. Like, I mean, my evaluation was early on, like, hey, this guy can squeeze success out of a team that doesn't have a whole lot of it if you look at it on paper. And then the rest of the season, I mean, if I'm evaluating anything, it's just don't let this team turn into a circus. Because if you lose control of the group of players that you have, well, then you're not the leader that we need as the manager. Because we all discuss all the time, like, not to take anything away from him, but the manager's role is very minimum compared to what coaches are in other games. But your role is you're still the guy in charge. You're still the leader in that clubhouse. They look to you for direction. Don't lose them. Because if you can do that the rest of the way, it's not about developing players anymore. Like, we've seen this at this point. This is on the players. It's not about pursuing any championship or getting into the playoffs. I saw the evaluation. This team's in no position to be a playoff expected team. So you're kind of, I mean, for a lack of a better phrase, you're kind of just stuck with this team right now. And we hope that you could get better, more out of them next year when we run it back with a brand new slate.
The text line from the 314 said, please tell me you guys are joking. Oli Marmol has nothing left to give. I mean, I don't think the Cardinals agree with that. I think the Cardinals view Oli Marmol as a good manager.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think they view it as he has a roster problem. And I think they've acknowledged as much over the last couple of seasons. So if you disagree with that, that's fair. That's fine. We can have our differences of opinion on what the value is of a manager and whether or not Oli Marmol holds value as a manager. I personally think he's pretty good at this. I think he does a pretty good job. I think he handles the bullpen extremely well. I think the guys buy into his leadership style, and that's not guesswork. I'm pretty certain that most of the players on this team enjoy playing for Oli Marmol. I think he does a really good job of developing guys at the big league level. I think that's something that he has gotten better at over the last few seasons personally. Are there times where I disagree with a decision? Are there times where, like, the catching/DH situation, did I agree with him all the time there? No. But by and large, I think he's done a pretty good job here. And I don't know who you're going to bring in that you immediately think to yourself, like, that's the magic elixir.
That's my thing. Like, for the people that sit there and say, well, you got to get rid of Oli, who are you wanting to bring in that makes this team magically a playoff team? People keep texting in Skip Schumacher. Guys, I don't think Skip Schumacher wants to manage this team because you're basically coming in with a lame duck roster.
Even if he did, what's changing?
That's the thing.
I'm truly asking.
How is he getting more out of the players that we've seen? How is he getting more out of the pitching staff that we've seen? Oli has basically kept this team healthy on the pitching side of things for up until what was
John King.
Yeah, John King going on the IL. People want the experienced manager that can win you a World Series. That doesn't matter if the roster doesn't match what a World Series team looks like.
From the 618, if Oli's so good at this, who has come up to you that has gotten better? If we're really just saying that, like, I can go through it. We can go through some of the players that have improved under Oli's watch, but Brendan Donovan would be at the top of that list. Mm-hmm. Mason Wynn would be very close to the top of that list for me. Alec Burleson has had a huge improvement over the last 2 years. Victor Scott, the player that we saw at the beginning of last season versus the player that we are seeing right now, they don't resemble
How about Matthew Liberatore
whatsoever. Matthew Liberatore is a great example of this. Andre Palante.
I say Palante to an extent, yeah.
You can say that he's not the starter that the Cardinals need, and maybe that's true, but he is a much better version of the player that we saw a year ago. And I would say overall, the bullpen, almost every guy that has come in here has improved over their time with Oli Marmol as the manager. So I just don't agree with that. I think there are definitely guys that have not improved the way that we expected. Nolan Gorman and Jordan Walker being number 1 and 2 on that list. There's no doubt about it. But I don't know if that's always a reflection of the manager. I think there are times where the player just doesn't improve. We're seeing that with other teams too. You can, if you scope out, you zoom out a little bit, dude, there are players like Walker on every team in baseball for the most part right now. They don't become what you wanted them to be, and that's okay. It sucks, but it happens sometimes.
Yeah, and like I remember, I don't know if it was this year or last year. First off, think about the position the Cardinals are in, and they haven't really admitted it, but we're finally all there. They're in a rebuild. And I go back to what Mo said, it was either this year or last year. Hey, I always envisioned Oli Marmol being a guy that was running player development. Mo had said that. You know who most teams do when they go through rebuilds? They have that guy running it. They don't go out and hire Skip Schumacher. They don't go out and hire Joe Madden, for example. They go with the young guy that's with the team, comes up with the team to try and learn with the team. And I don't think he's still learning. He's not got the learning curves that he had when he started in 2022 anymore. But that's the kind of guy that you want with this. If you have a problem with the roster when they get back to their winning ways and then you're skeptical of what Oli Marmol is doing, that's when Chaim Bloom will probably be the one that makes the decision, is when they start to exit out of the rebuild. That's when that decision comes. But again, that's probably anywhere between like 2 to 4 years from now. Right now, Oli Marmol is a guy that, as Alex said, just make sure that this circus doesn't really get off its wires and ends up going awry completely.
He's T-Bone, that's Alex, I'm BK. We'll hit the rewind, finish things up here on BK and Ferrario. Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, it's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Man, it's going to be a weird, next 2 weeks or so of this show.
Why, man?
Because we'll have, in about 3 weeks, I think it is, we'll start having some Mizzou and Illinois football to talk about. Week after that, the NFL season starts. We'll have some other stuff to get into. And then not far after
2
that,
weeks after
Blue
the NFL
season
training camp
starts to begin.
I got preseason in like a month and a half.
Over the next 2 weeks, though, we've just got Cards Dodgers, Cards Cubs, kind of. Cards Rockies, Cards Yankees, Cards Marlins.
This is way too much cards.
It's kind of what we got. So we'll be talking about it.
We need to get creative with this. You know what? We didn't get to the junk drawer story of T-Bone, but we need to sign T-Bone up and start doing some dating stuff. We'll get to that tomorrow.
We talked about it briefly the other day. The Love is Blind.
On Friday? Yeah. We need to start it. This is the time of year when you start a T-Bone dating segment. I think we should do a weekly Love is Blind where we do it on our show. Mm-hmm. They've got the casting going on right now in St. Louis, but I think T-Bone, I've got a face mask that I wear at night. He could wear that during a segment. Do you wear your headband while you're wearing your face mask at night?
Nope, separate times.
Okay.
I have a face mask and a mouth guard that I wear at night.
Oh, my God. You are a sight to behold at nighttime.
Oh, yeah.
Is it glow?
You can see why my wife married me.
Yeah. Frankly, I'm surprised you don't have the Brady Bunch by now. My God, a mouthpiece and a night guard, eye patch or whatever you wear.
So we've got that timeout spot over there in the corner. Mm-hmm. We could have the lovely lady come in here, and she sits over there.
Look, he's smiling over there.
10 minutes to interview her.
Yeah.
And this is the way we do it each week.
Serious question. You think T-Bone could interview her for 10 minutes?
I don't know how a T-Bone first date
T-Bone would go 2 minutes.
T-Bone, when was your last date?
Probably college. So what's that, 5 years now?
Okay.
Yeah, 5 years.
Dust the cobwebs off then.
What did dates look like while you were, was that in Olney or was that while you were in Alton?
That was in Alton Godfrey.
Okay.
Yeah. Just go to some restaurants, hang out for a while. Well, the tough part was our hangout was always, at the dorm because she lived right across the hall.
That's a little different.
Yeah.
So when was the last time you went on a date at a restaurant? Like you met up for coffee or you met up for drinks or you met up for a dinner?
Boy, November of 2019.
Pre-COVID.
Or December 2019? Yeah, because it was pre-COVID.
Man, dating has changed.
That's what I've heard.
Dating has changed.
T-Bone, we need to get Tinder going.
I'm telling you, T-Bone.
We'll get some of your swipe right. Some of your
I
matches.
changed my answer. There is a lot to talk about the Cardinals in the second half. Like these bullpen arms.
Go ahead and try.
T-Bone's just going to deflect.
He's not even going to be up for the game tonight.
Some of the matches that T-Bone gets on his Tinder, we should reach out.
We should bring him in.
Separately, and we can say, hey, you matched with our guy T-Bone.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to come in? We're doing this dating game.
And if they don't want to be on YouTube, we don't have to put them on YouTube.
Totally cool. They can be Love is Blind, just like our audience will be blind, just like T-Bone will be.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the segment, we can do it at 1:45. We can do it as a part of the rewind. At the end of the segment, if T-Bone's interested, they go on a date. If T-Bone's not, we'll pay for lunch. If T-Bone's not interested, then they will go their separate ways. They say, we're not compatible. We'll see each other another time.
And T-Bone, BK will pay for all of your lunches.
Any of these dates, we will pay for. And then we will expense as part of our content that we're doing for the station.
I can't wait to have that
meeting. The station will pay. We're just coming up with content right now. We need 3 weeks of it, okay?
Somebody
just get us to college football season.
The YouTube chat says, T-Bone's Tinder Time, make it a weekly segment. I'm telling you, we could make this happen.
Tinder Time. That is a great name.
Somebody said, yo, does anybody else think that T-Bone looks and sounds like Bobby from King of the Hill?
Everybody makes that reference.
It's been mentioned. Alongside Alex
and T-Bone,
BK.
I'm signing you up tonight.
If you guys missed anything from today's show, be sure to check it out on the podcast page. 101ESPN.com and the free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. That is all sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
Alex, Cardinals are going up against a right-handed pitcher tonight.
Yes,
Tyler
they are.
Glass now. He's 1-1 with a 3.8 ERA. They've got Sonny Gray on the mound. Do you believe they'll win?
I do not believe they will win.
Do you believe that you will make it to first pitch at 9:10?
First pitch, yes. Do I believe I'll make past the third inning? No.
I would say, what's over-under on when you go to bed?
9:10 is usually about the time that, I wrap up eating my dinner and sit down and just kind of start getting stuff done because bedtime ends at 8. But then, an hour after that, it's ooh, buddy.
T-Bone, do you think they win?
No.
All right, 0 for 3. We agree. We'll talk about it tomorrow.
Ohtani leadoff bomb off Gray. Calling it.
Mookie Betts, 2 for 3.
Man, he's having a rough year.
This is where he gets back on. This is the Slump Buster series.
We'll break down the Dodgers lineup when you join us tomorrow at 11 a.m.
Yeah, we will.
On ESPN.